pony knowledge by. Oh, better. I got a place where winning ain't tough to do. You wanna be cool, Stable Duel. Your horse racing fantasy comes true. But no, Stable Duel.
Download the Stable Duel app and play today.
Good Friday morning to you, folks. It is April the 8th, and we are back here with This Weekend in Stable Duel. I got a couple of my boys back on Friday, Matt DeSantis and Barry Spears. I still recovering from last week from a bachelor party.
The body doesn't recover when we get older like it used to. Yeah.
I kept saying all these lines from Lethal Weapon, right? I was like, I'm getting too old for this shit, all throughout the weekend, I'm like, dang, I don't do this the way I used to. And it was a good time. It was fun. But back to business this weekend. Whoo, it is a cool time in the world of sports right now. I know over the last few days, I had Masters previews. I had baseball previews. I had NBA season finishing up previews and getting into the play-in and the playoffs. WrestleMania was last week. We had the college basketball national championship on Monday. And this weekend, in particular for horse racing, 3 Kentucky Derby preps. So, Matt, just the lay of the land, we're going to talk a lot on this show all about Stable Duel because Keeneland is opening today. And Keeneland and Stable Duel, they're right down the road from each other. That's like home court advantage when Keeneland's up. But as far as the Kentucky Derby is concerned, this is like a massive weekend. We have 3 major preps. And not only do we have 3 major preps, but in those preps, we probably have 2 or 3 horses in each of them that are legitimate contenders in the race.
I think so. I think you have, you look out west, and I'm sure we'll touch a little bit on it, but you have the Messier Forbidden Kingdom matchup that I think everybody's looking forward to. And then I think really on the East Coast with the Wood, very evenly matched race. I think that you could have 3 very distinct different choices from 3 different people, and I think all reasonable. And I think the same thing you can say in the Bluegrass. Like that's a pretty wide open field. And interestingly enough, that's a field of really good horses that haven't necessarily fired when they've stepped up on the Derby trail previously. And so it's not as if you have a horse like a Simplification who's won before, or an Epicenter who's won before, horses that you go, oh, well, this horse is money in the bank. This horse is, I know what I'm going to get out of this horse. A lot of unknowns, even this late into the Derby season, which is what makes it really exciting.
Sniper, you were high on White Abarrio a couple starts back when he won. That's been a horse who won your local prep down at Florida in Gulfstream Park. And so, he's definitely kind of putting himself up in that conversation. Epicenter, we saw a few weeks ago. And what we're starting to notice a little bit too is, doesn't it really seem like a lot of these top tier contenders are pretty speedy? They're going to want to be forwardly placed.
Yeah. It just screams out for alternatives, horses that can close. I mean, a horse like Simplification might have an edge because he's done both. He's won on late, he's won. Right. So I'm going to be looking for horses that can, kind of stalk and pounce sort of thing. Or at least come off the pace a little bit. I think there's going to be a lot of speed in the Derby in itself. So, the draw is a big deal. The post position draw is going to be a big deal this year. I mean, not that it isn't any other year, but even more so this year because, positioning is going to be key with this Kentucky Derby, I think.
There might be 2 or 3 of those horses right away with their running style where if they are drawn 5 or in, you're just like, they're in trouble.
No thanks.
Or we know that they're going to really be forced to make this pace wicked, right? So it'll be a ton of fun diving into that. And we are going to know a heck of a lot this weekend by about Saturday night. And it's a fun weekend. Opening day at Keeneland is today. We're looking at the Stable Duel schedule for the weekend coming up. You've got the Keeneland kickoff today, $75 to enter, $7,500 in prizes. You've got a single entry game, and Stable Duel is going to be experimenting this week with some games where they're limiting entries. So some of the games where you only have options for the single entry or maybe a 3-entry game or a 5-entry game. So you won't be able to play 10, 15, 20 games, which is something that might invite more players. I had heard some people had said, sometimes I can't afford to play a bunch of different lineups, and it's hard to win if I don't play a bunch of different lineups. So this is what you see a lot of times with big DFS in football and in other sports, where they'll have different style games where one of them you can have multiple lineups and others are single entries. Huge games, and it sort of feels like I was laughing about how I'm getting older before. Feels like our show is getting older because we're now seeing the schedule change a little bit, right? For a while, we had like that same grouping of tracks that we knew we were going to have. It was Gulfstream Park, Tampa, Santa Anita, and Sam Houston. And now the seasons are changing a little bit, right? Keeneland's coming into the mix. They want to join the party, and we're going to say goodbye to our friends over at Sam Houston. It's closing weekend there. Big shout out to them. I always love doing I love doing work with the folks over at Sam Houston. I got to make my first trip out there this year, which was a lot of fun. And on Saturday night, we're going to talk a little bit about that in a live stream that Matt and me do later on this evening with our buddy Sniper. I think Caleb is going to join us a little later on tonight. Caleb, who used to do the
oh man,
with us last year. Yeah, I was going to say we've had a few different crews through the live stream year, so it'll be fun to check in with him a little later on. But Matt, I mean, Keeneland is so much fun when it comes. We all put our focus there, and what makes Keeneland really cool is quick meet and just big races right off the bat. I mean, they kick off today. You get a couple stakes. Tomorrow, you get the stakes. You get the bluegrass, and it's just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, and you get the other thing is today you get the Oaks prep, right?
Yeah.
And you get the Ashland, and then tomorrow you get. I mean, usually the Oaks and Derby prep races are on the same, right back to each other, or two races apart, or something like that. And it's great to see the ladies and the fillies get a day of their own, just like they will the first weekend in May. And so it's it's great to just come out with a Friday with 5 stakes races, and then follow that up with another 5 graded stakes races on Saturday. So and the other part of it that's really interesting about this Keeneland meet is you see a lot of jockey colonies coming together, right? So you get Joel coming in from the Midwest.
With all the horses where it's located, you get the West, you get the East, you get the Midwest, and it's sort of like a little coming together, like a track meet almost,
It is. And obviously the big news is somebody like Flavien Prat kind of making the transition from California to the Midwest temporarily, and then eventually going to New York, but for the summer. But it really is just, it's almost like it feels a little bit like the Breeders' Cup in a way, where it's just like, oh, here's like the 10 best jockeys in the world all going against each other in this race. So that's going to be a lot of fun, I think, and really makes for some interesting races and some interesting setups and just certain mannerisms we know jockeys have that could play into the way the races will play out.
See, Barry, the problem is DRF wanted to use the word stupendous for this Saturday, but WrestleMania stole it last weekend. It was the most stupendous WrestleMania of all time. So this week we had to go with Spectacular Saturday for what the DRF.
Makes sense.
Still plenty good with the 3 Kentucky Derby preps and big weekends all over the place at Aqueduct, over at Keeneland, and at Santa Anita. If you want some help handicapping the races, we're going to dive into the DRF past performances right now using those daily racing form formulator PPs. And I know we always start at Gulfstream Park with my man Barry on Friday. Barry, you've got a couple Friday Gulfstream plays for us, right?
Absolutely. Always,
Awesome. Always.
That's what I do, right? That's what I do.
One thing that my dad taught me, and I'm sure you probably learned similar. You're a basketball guy. When you're out on the court, when you start and when you stop, you got to go in there. It's home. It's familiar to you. You got to go make the layup. You see the ball go in the basket, right? And then at the end, you do the same thing. You want to make a free throw, and you want to just go in and make the layup, see the ball go through the basket. You get that mentally, seeing it go through. That's what Gulfstream Park is for you. Santa Anita, for me, some of us, that's home court advantage, right? You see that ball go in the basket, and then you're ready to rock and roll for the rest of the day and the weekend.
Exactly. We're just going to shoot a free throw here.
Yep.
I love it.
Okay.
You know how easy this game is. So
exactly. Just picking 8, 10 to 1 shots like we're trying to do here too. It's just sync up, bend the knees and put it right through. Nothing.
So yeah, Gulfstream, we'll start with race number 4.
Yep.
I'm going to number 11, Banking on You. This horse, is basically second time at the 12.5 level. This is a $12,500 claimer. And was on the rail the last time. And I kind of, want to make that as if it was that horse's first start, because, the horse did run back in May of 2021 and kind of didn't do anything, broke in a tangle and just, kind of ran around there. I call it the Pepe Le Pew, when they just kind of run around and they don't really do anything. Yep. So this second time out, was on the rail, getting laces for first time, blinkers on, and just kind of tired. Yep. But lands in a spot that's kind of softer. Mm-hmm. I think. I mean, the horse that beat this horse last time, the one Uncaptured Faith, doesn't look all that great. Has a lot of tries at this level and just hasn't gotten it done. I mean, the horse is 3-1 on the line, drawing the rail, just not a good look here, and doesn't really have a whole ton of speed, going 5.5. So, I was very willing to bet against this horse, and I think the opposite is what Banking on You. This horse is draw outside this time, outside of that horse in particular, and should see everything unfold, inside of him.
Yep.
So there's not a whole ton of speed. This horse has enough speed to get there. Another horse that's going to get bet is Fearless Girls, 9-5 on the line, just kind of like a closer, and that's no good.
Nope.
So everybody else doesn't really look any good, and that's why I landed on the 11. Basically, it was kind of a
process of elimination, right?
Right. Everybody else looks so bad that this one doesn't look that bad. Only has 2 starts. Most of them are kind of proven to be, not winning types.
We're going towards the outside with the number 11, Banking on You, 5-1 on the morning line. That'd be a $6,000 cost in your stable dual lineup. I know one man who is always paying attention to what's going on down in Florida. One man who likes to bring the smoke. We're going to welcome him in as a special guest this week. Smoke. It's Mr. Mike Rennie. What's going on?
What's up, y'all?
What's up, Mike?
Happy Friday. Thanks for having me on, man.
Mikey, we wanted to bring you in because Matt, myself, and Barry, we love your style, man. We're a big fan of your energy. It's a beautiful way to start the day every morning. You got a video coming in, you bring it, you wanted to get everybody's day started great. You got a little smoke, you got a little drink, and you let everybody know what you're playing today. So tell us how you got into the races and when you started doing your videos and stuff.
To be honest, my pops, was at the track always, as a kid. So Portland Meadows here was our local one. And so, just kind of that's how I was into it. But I didn't really get into it until after, I'd say, early 2000s. I started really playing, was into poker a lot, then got married. And then that ended that poker time. Time is everything. So, and to be good at poker, you got to put tons of time into it. So then I just started getting into ponies more and kind of just sat next to a trainer at Portland Meadows, taught me how to read the DRF, and just been kind of just grinding ever since. The video came from just a losing streak, to be honest, and I needed to switch gears. That's how it all started up. As we know, it's a grind. Through the video, I have no clue how it all came together, to be honest. One of those things. So
what perfect about that, as I'm on the West Coast with you, so one time when we hang out in person, we'll have to have a smoke, and you can actually pass it on over, right? But you got to puff, give. Don't be Bogarting that thing.
Nowadays, you just roll your own. You'll have your own.
Exactly.
I'll have my own.
No, the personal ones are better. That way you don't have to go back and forth. You can just sit there and post. Right. You can just sit there and post.
Fact.
But Mike, what I love about it too is we are in a sport where everything is so sort of kind of old, antiquated, right? Everybody's got a really sort of, I don't want to say stuffy, but a basic way of doing their things. And you come in, you bring a totally different energy. You've got a big smile on your face. You want to just have a minute or two where you kind of brighten everyone's day. But then you're also giving them a pick. I think I get to see in 2 to 3 minutes a little screenshot, and I get to kind of know who you are way more than I do with most people when I watch them on TV for a while. And that's what I love about your little videos, each morning.
Appreciate that, and that's what it's about, and if anyone, I have the same friends from when I was a kid. If you met anyone and they saw the video, they'd be that's Rennie. That's just me. I'm always me. I never change. Have a variety of friends. I'm just me. And grinding and gambling in all forms is it's tough. It's very difficult. And, so I try to bring some light. Everything is negative. There's a lot of negative stuff. I try to be positive. I can get sucked into that sometimes, but, just stay positive with it and just go for stuff. I'm trying to do something different I've never done before. I don't mind failing at it. If I do, so be it. But I'm taking chances is what it's all about, and taking a stand for what you, kind of believe in and going for,
It's hard. Like you said, it's hard, man. It's what we're doing. And if we're doing it day in and day out, you have days where we all have been there. It's a struggle. You have a bad beat, or maybe you've had a week or two where you're struggling and you can't get out of your own head. It's nice to have like a clean slate in the morning, a nice way to start. Let's get that energy going again. Today could be a brand new day, because like we've all seen, man, all it takes is one of those days for us to get right back on track.
Exactly.
Winner.
And just learning from everyone, like seeing everyone, watching how everyone does stuff. You got to learn. You can't be a closed book. You can't play the same angle every single time in the same spot. You got to be able to get off a horse. You got to be able to adjust to the situation. It's what it's about, and learning. And I'm always going to be learning and get better. That's all I can do for now.
And you come in with your chalk play. You come in with your long shot plays. I love it because you get a little bit of both. You tell everyone what you're looking for, where you're at, and really appreciate you spending a few minutes with us on this weekend. And it's an awesome weekend, man. We got Keeneland opening up now.
Excited.
We got the Santa Anita Derby. We got the Wood Memorial tomorrow at Aqueduct. And I told you we have a few plays that we always put in for these weekend stable duel contests. Where were you looking at for a couple of your plays, Mike?
Well, I had a play. I just heard Keeneland's off turf today, if I'm correct. I think someone just posted that. I thought I saw that.
So that's going to change.
I was going to play Rochambeau in the 5th today, but obviously that's changed. So we're going race 3 at Keeneland today.
Let's do it.
We're going with the Florida Gator.
Okay.
I think it's going to get the setup, and it goes back to the distance it's won at before. So, it tried to stretch out, and, gets back to the 6 furlong where it broke its maiden, and you might get an okay price. Money Mitch, getting back on. Race 3 today there, the Florida Gator at Keeneland. I think you can get it. It's 5-1 morning line.
Yep.
Should get a setup, and I don't, it doesn't need. It could. I'm hoping it developed and growth. Stretched out. Now it's a little stronger, hopefully. And gets back to the 6 furlong distance. So I went to that for a play I like kind of early instead of the turf race there. So I think that horse could be dangerous. It goes, and I like put the Bug Boy on. Probably knew it had no chance in that race. I could assume, knowing the trainer, threw the Bug on, gets Mitch back on. I'm assuming they're looking at this. That last race, I'm guessing, was geared towards this.
Florida Gator in race number 3 at Keeneland. So we will continue to monitor those scratches for you. And look at Mike breaking news for us, dropping great information right as he comes in. Florida Gator right at 5-1 in that $6,000 range for you on Stable Duel. Mike, I got to give you a shout out too. You were very high a few starts back on White Abarrio. And your boy came back last week, and he did very well. He stamped himself as a top-tier contender for the Kentucky Derby. He's got to be right in that top 5 conversation for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Derby's going to be tough. To be honest, I would take the field. If you gave me like 7 favorites or the top 7 betting horses, I would probably take the field. I just think it's going to be one of those years. I love White Abarrio. I'm going to be cheering. I'll throw some money on him, hopefully. But I think it's going to be very difficult. And I'm not going to trust the favorite. So I feel like, and watch for whoever's coming over. I just think it could be one of those years to me. So I'm kind of all over the place as of now for Derby, for sure. But White Abarrio, caught him early, saw some races. I'm a Gulfstream homer. And I saw him, he won off the lead and won on the front. Yeah. And then he kept training
he's got
well.
The style, right? To put himself in range, but he can sit a little bit. So show a little speed, stay out of trouble, but can also pass some horses. He checks a lot of boxes, but like you said, it'll be fun, man. I can see him, we talked about Epicenter. What if Forbidden Kingdom runs off the screen today? There could be a lot of speed up front. So someone's going to need to sit a little bit, and maybe it's White Abarrio. Lots going on this weekend. Do you have anything else for either today or tomorrow that you were looking at?
Yeah, definitely. For the Bluegrass tomorrow, I'm going back to Emmanuel. I had him last time, and you know he was, I think, either the favorite or second favorite. Went off around that. He was outside, and then we all know what Paco did his thing, and it kind of I don't know if he would have won or not, but I'm gonna give that horse another chance.
Yep.
I like him. And I don't know, 4.5 to 1 morning line. Maybe you get around that. It might go down or up, So I'm gonna, and I think they could have put him somewhere else. They brought him to Keeneland to go for it, So, and I trust the connections. And Pletcher has the 1 hole also, and this horse has shown speed, and there's a bunch of cheaper speed to be underneath. So I think Emmanuel, he can maybe send it. Saya's on the front, maybe. So who knows, So
And we're watching this Emmanuel race right now, Mike. He was the 8 in here.
Yeah, he's the 8. And you can see it right away, already, taking it, and he's pretty sure he gets flushed outside.
Yep. And now he wanted to be forwardly placed, right? Right up on the lead or close to it. Now he got dirt in his face. He's sitting about 4 wide towards the back of the pack, in just a spot that's not the place you want to be at Gulfstream Park, right?
And right there you could see you're like, okay, maybe he has it,
He's traveling well still.
He's doing okay.
Yeah.
And then, but like you said, and then there's, first of all, as of right now, I mean, talk about announcer.
He's in the 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's even wider than it looks when we're watching. He's 6 deep all the way out there. So he does everything he can just to get right back up into contention
right there
and give himself a shot. Yeah. I mean, I'm with you, Mike. I think he to me feels like he might be the bet in the race on Saturday, right? If he is around 4 to 1 or so. Yeah. And what I do think, I wouldn't be shocked if he takes a little bit of money, but because of Zandon and because of Smile Happy, they're both going to take a good amount of money too. So I don't know if he's going to get like crazy over bet. He's right up in the mix. And even here, he gets bumped and he kind of has to shift around. He's trying. He's just a little tired.
He's working. Yeah. It was a trip, maybe he has it, maybe he doesn't, maybe I'll trust Saez, and maybe they gun it. And like I said, I like Pletcher having the 1 hole, so he can and that horse I don't think really has a chance. I'm pretty sure it might even be a maiden.
Yeah, but I agree with you on that horse in that he's going to be a little bit more aggressive with him, right? They're going to say, hey, you know what? He doesn't really pass horses that much, but he's nice horse. Let's get aggressive. Let's see if we put him on the lead. Maybe he can have, sort of like you said, dictate the way the race shapes up on paper. I like that.
Yep, for sure.
Emmanuel, the play.
You guys are better than I am, because I do not like that horse at all.
I do.
Didn't like him when he won the last time he won. Didn't like him last time in the stake. I don't like him in this spot.
Yeah.
Who are you looking at in the?
And it's funny because the horse I ended up liking, I slandered completely in his last races, is Rattle and Roll.
Yeah.
I think if this horse is ever going to win, it's going to be this race. Otherwise, you'll never see this horse again.
I don't think
Barry, give us some of your endorsement for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at it, back in October when he won the Breeders' Futurity, he kind of came into this race a little bit the same way, except this time he was off a longer layoff. Ran okay against Simplification in the Fountain Youth. Actually, I actually thought that was a better race than his Louisiana Derby, and then he's getting blinkers on. And basically coming back to home court. Not that I think that this is a Derby horse by any means, but I just think this is the horse for tomorrow.
This race. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. No. Should get a number with him.
Yeah, Rattle and Roll. Maddie, do you have any opinion in the Bluegrass?
Yeah, I'm with Mike, man. I love Emmanuel, and what's funny is I slandered Emmanuel going into that last race. I just thought that was a completely overhyped horse, and I thought this horse just doesn't have it. And I don't know. I was really out on Pletcher's Derby chances in general, and so, but to Mike's point and what you just showed, that horse showed a lot in that race. I mean, that was
every right to just stop.
Yeah,
absolutely. That horse had every right to finish 8th by 12 lengths, and didn't. and kept running. And so that was a horse that really impressed me with a 4th place effort. And I just think what we've seen in this entire, and we talked about it earlier, what we've seen throughout this entire Derby prep season, early speed wins. Like, you gotta be there.
Yeah.
And Zandon sometimes breaks well, sometimes is a shuffle back. Smile Happy, who knows? And so I just, those two are going to be coming from off the pace. And call me crazy, I like a horse that's either going to be sitting 1 or 2. And so even if Emmanuel doesn't necessarily get the lead, even if some of those inside horses that Mike was referencing get the lead, he's going to be able to kind of have the White Abarrio trip from Florida Derby, just sit right off of it and then just pounce and go. And so I just really like the way that race sets up for him. And I think the value of 9 to 2s, I'd rather bet him than the other 2 favorites. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with this one.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is his price. I think he's going to actually get bet under the 9 to 2, and that was just I couldn't bet that horse at 9 to 2. I would want at least 7 to 1 on a horse like this in a race like this. So that was part of the reason why I don't like him.
My only like, I guess, rebuttal. I agree with you, because when I was watching the race and stuff, I was going, oh, you know what? That's a trip. I'll probably get a little bit over bet off of that. The only thing that stopped me is when I looked and I went, well, I do think that Zandon's going to take money, and I do think Smile Happy's going to take money.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if he's going to be shorter than either one of them. If he is, I definitely wouldn't want to play him. No way. I still think he'll be like, if he's shorter than 7 to 2, I'd be pretty surprised because of the big field and these 2 others. And then if he is, then Barry, we're definitely looking to rattle a roll or somebody else, because someone else is going to be way higher than they should be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And because he shouldn't be more lower than like a 7 to 2 shot. That sort of feels like his chances in this race, which is a fun one. And it's funny. I got a sneaky feeling that this horse is going to run good. I don't think he's going to win the maiden. I got a sneaky feeling he's just going to run better because he's
got to, Gino. He can't run much worse than he can.
No, he can't.
Christ.
It was the maiden race. It was the maiden race where everybody was, he's supposed to win that race easy.
Yeah.
Why would he he just wouldn't be in here unless he had a small shot to pick up some points and move along the way. They could just go back to another maiden race. They could go back to a different spot. It's weird to me, and I think Mike hit it on the head. I think they're going to try different tactics, and I think that may be why they decided, hey, you know what? We're in here. Let's get more forwardly placed, and we can kind of figure out what we want to do on what's looking like an awesome Saturday.
I can say about that, his last race is he was on a loose rein in the backstretch. He was on the loose rein in the backstretch and getting no run. And I don't know if that was a factor of Tampa Bay in the dirt that day, because it was kind of gloomy. It rained early, and the track wasn't ideal. And sometimes that surface can be a little bit finicky for some horses, but it just didn't look like that horse wanted to run at all. And now we may see a different horse tomorrow, but
is it good? Does that mean he's good enough to beat this group? That's a different story, right? But I think he's going to run better.
Yeah, he's definitely going to run better.
I think it's the Pletcher block. Pletcher has 2 in there. He can block the 1 hole out, pretty much. That's what I think. That's more Pletcher gets 2 in there. And to be honest, I enjoy how Smile Happy runs. That horse.
He's nice.
His strides are. I really enjoy watching that horse run. If that horse improves, bye. Like if McPete has that horse, it could be just a body bag. To be honest,
he's a nice horse.
It's a really, really nice horse. So McPete Exacta wouldn't shock me, but I'm going to stick with Emmanuel, like what Barry says, with the 9 run underneath. Smile Happy there, but that wouldn't shock me. McPete Exacta in this race if Emmanuel just is a bust. So, but yeah, I'm sticking with Emmanuel, but the McPete, love how the McPete runs for sure.
Mike, I'm going to roll up a few in your honor. I'm going to hit the vape cartridge in just a little bit when we finish up here.
That's good stuff.
It was such a pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this morning. And we have live streams all the time, man. So anytime you're available and free to join us, we'd love to check in with you and see what you got going on, man. You brighten up the morning for everyone. You bring the smoke always, right? You bring the smoke, you bring the fire. Where there's smoke, there is fire, right?
That's right, man. I appreciate it, man. And you guys are great, man. Just keep, try to grow the game as much as we can. Keep people in tuned, and just put information out, and just do what we can. We're all just out here doing the same thing, and just keep it positive and have a good one and cash this weekend, man. Appreciate it, guys.
If
have
you
a good
want to
one.
follow,
you know, Mike, I'm a big fan of yours, man.
Appreciate
So
it. man.
it's good.
Yeah.
It's good to see you on here and
Thanks,
making your
man.
picks and being positive influence on Twitter. I mean, there's so much, like you said, negativity out there, but we fight through it and we have fun, and that's the main
Exactly.
thing. And I appreciate that about you.
Yeah, appreciate you as well, man. I followed you for a while now. Other people, newer ads, but Barry and I have been following each other probably for a couple of years now and stuff.
Yeah.
And love seeing how you've grown also, and just keep doing your thing, man. And make it through. It's tough for all of us, So it's just a grind, Just keep doing our thing and try to teach people to bet. I'm doing more just win bets now. I've learned from people above me, so I'm just learning from people telling me what to do. So. Just just keep learning is all we can do, man. And appreciate you having me on, man. Let's cash. Smoke,
absolutely,
smoke.
Mikey. Smoke, my friend. You have a great rest of your day. Good luck this weekend. That is Mike Rennie. It was so cool checking in with Mike, man. He's got a great energy. Just like we said, it's a tough sport. It's a grind. Gambling is tough. It's day in, day out. And this sport in general, horse racing, right?
That's why horse players are always angry.
We're miserable. I was gonna say, like, if you see a person, I always used to joke, like when I was at work at at TVG or something, I'd see people that were walking in the next morning after, or like early in the morning, and it'd be like Matt Carruthers, and he'd be like, he'd just like be walking in. I'm like, Matt bet yesterday, right? Like I could see it in Matt's face, like Matt, and then somebody else who was all like smiling. I was like, they didn't even bet yesterday, right? They're laughing and they're whistling as they walked in. I was like, that's not how it is. So it's tough. It's a grind. Anything we can to laugh, to smile, to get that energy back the right way. I always try to compare it to baseball. When the best of us are going to be losing 70 to 75% of the time,
That's true.
You got to have that mind right. I go through some times where I'm like, I'm working as hard as any person possibly could. I'm looking at every replay and every chart. What the hell is going on? Why am I not making more money? Why did that horse get stuck? You start talking to yourself, right?
I don't know if you notice, like on social media and stuff, is I try to keep my mind occupied elsewhere and just get away from racing. Like for instance, tomorrow I'm going to bring my daughter to Kennedy Space Center for the day in the morning.
Oh, that's great.
So I'll probably end up hitting the back half of the card. It's only about 40 minutes away
all day. It's not relentless.
Exactly. I try to kind of mix it up and I do other things. So so I try to stay sharp in that way. So I don't get burnt out. And it's very easy to do. I mean, we love this stuff, and it's like, there's another day coming tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that, and sometimes it can mess with your head, like you were talking about, and sometimes you just got to step away, take a deep breath, maybe do something different, maybe just for a little while. It doesn't even have to be all day, and then come back to it, and you usually have a fresh perspective on things, and that usually helps me for sure.
I'm the exact same way. I like going on hikes in the morning a lot of times. I even will try. What's funny is and this is the type of sports fan I am, I get so nervous when my teams play, I can't watch. And so I will purposely, like when the Eagles made their Super Bowl run, and I'm a diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan, like my ex-wife had to like force me to sit down and watch the game. She's like, you are going to regret this for the rest of your life if you don't watch the Super Bowl. Yeah. But I'm like that with big days in racing, where I'll make my picks and I'll have my kind of, I'll post my blog or whatever. And I get so nervous about how I'm going to do and how the horses are going to do that I just need to distract myself. I need to walk away a lot of times. I just need to, and I'll watch replays on the back end and things like that, but I just need to get out, clear my head. And I'm also the type of person who, despite what my personality is, when I am by myself, I scream at the TV and I tell people how stupid they are regularly. And so, like, I can't watch the lead up to a race because somebody will be like, "Now, I think Smile Happy's a lock." And I'm like, "You're a effing idiot. And I just start screaming. And I'm like, and so I'm like, McPeak hasn't done, and blah, blah, blah. And so I start screaming. And I'm like, that's not good for my mental health. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to do something else with my time. So,
definitely got to stay away from the hype machine that comes on. And you get every opinion. Everybody likes every horse, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh.
Right.
But yeah, I'm a big picture-in-picture guy on my TV, so I'll flip through I'll watch movies while I'm watching the races too. Just flip it back when
I do the same thing because you know what? Because for me, I'm working all the time, and I'm always doing or listening or watching something that's dealing with work, right? Like a podcast for this or something that's previewing this or something. And the one thing that I noticed just in the last couple months for myself is like you guys see here. Like, I like to sing. I have a good time. And I will get caught up where I'm like, damn, I haven't listened to like music or a song or anything in like a month. And that is something that just like makes me happy, right? It makes me kind of smile. It like releases some endorphins for me when I can listen to a song that I like and you get transported back to where you were when you were 18 years old, when you heard that song or when you were a kid, And so for me, even when it's super late, sometimes I've been sort of going back down my little rabbit holes of like, going from one song and then that leads me to the next one. And so hopefully just about getting that right energy, right?
I take naps, so that's okay. I'll sleep in the middle of a card or set my alarm for when the race goes off. Yeah. So between races, I'll fall asleep and then get up for the race and then go back to sleep, especially if I lose.
Exactly. It's perfect. It's perfect. So we're back to Friday. We're back to Gulfstream Park, my man Sniper. And I think you said you had one or two more on Friday, right?
Yes, I think we started off with race 4. Yep. We're going to go to race 5.
Okay.
All right.
The next race. You know how I like to do. I love those doubles.
Always.
Love those doubles.
Yep.
And it's funny because this race, which is a $20,000 claimer, non-winners of 3 lifetime. This is like the quintessential non-championship meet race.
Right.
I mean, with the same horses that have been running, but the whole dynamic has changed.
Yep.
And it's just a whole different race than you would see maybe, in February. Ago. Right. Yeah. So with that being said, I'm going to try to step out of the box here. I'm going to go with number 4. I can't even say the name.
Al-Mashriq, I think.
Yeah, Al-Mashriq, who is 15-1 on the line, but actually looks a lot better than that on paper. I'm not really sure why that horse is 15-1, because back in 2021, from July to February of 2021, any of those races wins this race. Mm-hmm. Pretty much, other than the slot race, April 10th. Besides that, any one of those races would win this race today.
Yep.
Now, with that being said, his first race off the bench in a while was February 9th, and he didn't do any running, but he also has no part of the slop. Nope. His other slop race was in Keeneland, and he just didn't run a step. Almost did the exact same running line, minus, 37 lengths back. He was just done. He was just finished. So that kind of muddied up the form a little bit. There's no world beaters in here. There's quite enough speed. From the outside, Man in the Moon, Little Demon has some speed. Demena, who I almost picked, has a ton of speed too. So this sets up perfectly for a horse like this, and the fact that this horse hasn't been running at Gulfstream on the regular also plays in it too. Has a win at the distance, and also runs well at Gulfstream. And I don't see why you can't give this horse a shot. There's a ton of speed in here. Yep. And I think this horse likes the trip. Non-winners of 3 lifetime, you know what you're getting. This is the time for this horse.
He's got some back class. He does.
Absolutely.
I like this spot, and will only cost you $750. 500 in your stable.
500, yes.
At 15-1. So very easy to build your stables on Friday at Gulfstream with a horse like Al-Mashriq. One more for you Friday, right?
Yes, sir. Race 8.
Race number 8, first level allowance, 7 furlongs the distance here. Who are we looking at in this one?
Yeah, we're going to throw one downfield again with number 4, Queen Camilla. I just think this horse kind of fits in this spot. relatively speaking. I know she's been running against better horses for a while. They stepped her up really young into the Schuylerville. She didn't do anything there, but kind of ran into some runners. Last Leaf is a pretty good horse. Diamond Wow is a good horse. She's So Beautiful is a good horse. Ran up against those, and then this year, first time off the bench, runs into a monster in Kathleen O.
Yeah.
And again, this is another race that has a ton of speed. The 7, the 6, no decaf, Manuela. And this horse can sit a good trip here.
Yep.
Sea Art has a ton of speed. So I just think this is the right time, and you're going to get these kind of horses in this time of year at Gulfstream where, it's not going to be so much captain.
Not bad either, right?
Right.
That was the horse who was third in the Fairground Oaks that she had to run into in her next start. She's had to hook up with some nice ones.
Right. And as some class relief, the Sano Barn is doing excellent at the time right now. So
Yeah.
why not? I mean, there's nothing great in this field. And this is why I like the non-championship meet Gulfstream, because you can get these kind of horses that run at a price, and it's no more Captain Obvious selections. Like some horses you just can't get around at Gulfstream during the championship meet. So now's the time for all the smaller connections to kind of throw out their horses again and try to get some momentum. And with this class that this horse has, I think this is a good spot.
Queen Camilla at 10 to 1 will only cost you $1,000 in your stable dual lineup for Friday. So a couple plays out in Florida for our guy Barry on Friday. If you're playing your stable dual lineups on Friday, there is a Gulfstream Park free ride. So Barry has just helped you out right there with a couple to get involved in that free contest Friday at Gulfstream. You can play this weekend at Gulfstream Park. They'll have Sunday games, $10, $100 double up, and a $50 top 10. But for Saturday, a lot of focus will be at Keeneland and over at Santa Anita. But while we are talking Friday, Matt, we're going to go to the opening day at Keeneland for Friday, and Mike let us know. So I was looking around. Is that official? They are off the turf for Friday at Keeneland. Did we see like scratches or anything start to pop up? Because we're still kind of early.
Yeah, I've not seen anything official. And the scratches have not loaded in the Stable Duel app yet. If they have, and I've not seen them announced anywhere. But that said, I probably am gonna. I can give a couple plays because it's funny. I actually had a couple turf picks that I really liked, and so. But I think there's some obvious potential dirt alternatives if it is taken off turf in some of those races. But I think, the one thing that really I think defines Saturday and Sunday, or Friday and Saturday, I should say, at Keeneland is I don't necessarily love a lot of the morning line favorites, or I'm not super confident in them. And so I think this is from a stable duel standpoint, both Friday and Saturday, there's a lot of opportunity to kind of fill your card up with kind of middle priced or long shot horses that I think are going to do really, really well. And so, a lot of good plays there.
Okay. So where do you want to head on Friday while we're at Keeneland?
Yeah. So let's head to, let's head to the going off turf has thrown everything off.
I know.
Let's head to race 2.
Race 2.
Race 2. So let's do that. And when this was on turf originally, I really loved the number 7 Pure Country.
That was my horse too.
Yeah, that was
one of my 3. Yep.
Yeah. I like that horse a lot. I just thought that horse just made up a ton of ground late and was going to like the distance, I thought. And I Beachfront Kid, who's the favorite, is breaking from the inside. So I just didn't like that draw. But I do think if this is on dirt and you're looking for an alternative, I think you could do worse than the 12 Blame the Champagne. 6 to 1 for $5,000. This is a horse that, just has shown a lot of consistency on dirt and actually stepped up and ran a stakes race last time out and finished on the board. It has not obviously broken its maiden yet, but is always right there. Now, maybe this horse is a little bit of a hanger, but I think this horse will obviously get a little bit of a surface bump because you're looking at a field that's overwhelmingly bred for turf and is, there's going to be a lot of scratches, I would imagine, in this field. So he's not going to be hung out as far wide as 12 because that 12 post is going to get moved in quite a bit. So I think that's a horse to potentially look at in race 2 as an alternative?
I'd massively upgrade the 12 and the 5. If it's
Well,
races.
geez, fellas, come on. You didn't even give my horse a mention at all.
Okay. Okay.
Where-
At
Where do you
all.
go?
You-
Where do you go?
you-
Where you
I
go,
like the
Barry?
9.
Nice.
Point well taken. I
Okay.
mean, all right, granted, I was at the track that day, and
That Cinderella race. Yeah.
well, not only that race, but the one after that, the Get Serious race. That actually, I picked Get Serious on top.
You did.
Now, point well taken was the 14 horse in that race, breaking from the 12 hole, and just didn't get a chance to run. And I was actually surprised when I saw the chart and this horse finished 4th, because I really wasn't paying attention, the first time.
After it was like, horse is done, right? Yeah.
Right. And honestly, the one who was pure country in this race and the 14 kind of ran similar races, and I'm only upgrading point well taken because that horse was way outside. Kind of gets into a nice spot here, but there was some trouble. But with everything being said, plus the changes that this horse is getting for this race, that's why I kind of went with the 9 instead of pure country. And I can't fault anybody for liking pure country, to be honest with you, because there's lots to build on there. But I think the connections kind of were pointing this way with this horse, especially after they drew the 14 hole. So if you look at the amount, that was a $32,000 main special weight. This is $100,000. So there's quite a big difference here, and it seems like, especially with the connections, Stuart Janney, Shook McGahee, this was probably the race that they wanted to be at all along.
Yep.
And the horse that would get honorable mention here would be the 11 Duvet Day, who's run some pretty nice races against some tougher competition. But yeah, I would go definitely with point well taken.
We are talking about race number 2 at Keeneland on Friday. So the third race, our buddy Mike mentioned Florida Gator in there. It's kind of as we're moving along. So the 4th race is on the dirt.
Yes.
Here we go. Yeah, we got a horse.
Yes.
We got a race on the dirt. There were, from just an early exotic standpoints, there were 2 horses that kind of strike my fancy. But Barry, do you have a horse in here that you like?
Yeah, number 6, Martime.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah, I just love the improvement first time off the bench. And I think there's some upside here. I don't think we've seen the best of this horse yet. Not saying that this horse is going to be a stakes winner or anything. Probably will be, but just given the situation,
Yep.
This is the right horse at the right time. There's some speed to his inside, customer driven, Malibu Marie, and even Mo Ray or Ree, or however you say that, has a little bit of speed, and this horse can kind of sit. And I think this horse is going to get first run on everybody else. There's really not much. I mean, I could see somebody liking Scratch Cat, but
yeah.
That's actually the horse that I actually tossed. I don't really like that horse in this spot, just given everything else. And even the 10 Park of the Nile has a ton of speed. So there's enough speed here for that horse to run it, and the price is right. I think this horse has some upside, second off the layoff. Nice bullet work on April 2nd, too, at Oaklawn.
Scratch Cat could get a little bit of pace in here. From a stable duel standpoint, I wouldn't want to use Scratch Cat. I can understand, betting the horse or throwing the horse into exotics if the race
Too
is
short
up.
price, yeah.
I thought the 2 just has a little versatility, which I like. We know that the 2 sprinting in the debut showed that she can pass some horses, and then I like when I see. I kind of talk about it like, jokingly, like the harness racing trip, where it's like after you've closed, you're like, okay, let's just put this horse on the front end the next time and make sure we think that this is the best horse, keep him out of trouble. I don't know if they're quite as fast as some of the others in here. And I think customer driven will end up with more of a tracking trip. So for me, I think the Deuce at 10-1, only 1,000 in your stable dual lineup will probably be a horse I end up playing in this race now, especially with races and, a few other races where there are probably going to be some scratches here. So this fourth race is one that's still on the dirt. Did you have any opinion here, Matt?
Martime was kind of the horse that I I circled as being the one that I thought was going to be the best. Also, that's the way my best friend spells his last name. So
Nice.
There's that too. So, and I watched that horse break its maiden, and I was really impressed. And so I was glad to see, that was a bad second start, but I was really wowed by how well that horse ran off the bench. And I think the sky's the limit in that regard. I mean, you're going to see an improvement second time out, and if there's an improvement, then I think it's kind of academic because I think this horse is kind of would be clearly the best in that field.
Gosh, I really liked in the fifth race this one horse, Ginsburn.
Oh yeah,
at 15-1 on the turf. One to keep an eye on. This horse has just some sneaky form overall. Those last two grass races were very, very sneaky. So keep an eye on that horse when you catch a spot where that one might be back on the turf. Matt, where do you want to head today at Keeneland?
Yeah, let's head to race 6.
Okay.
Here we go.
That's what I'm talking about.
Here we go.
We'll see. I don't know. Barry, you on the 3 Lady Arsenault or not?
Definitely not.
Oh, you're killing me.
Not only no,
that's
a definitely no.
Yeah. Definite no. Well, so I do like the 3 Lady Arsenault at 12-1 for $750. It's an inexpensive play. And here's the thing: if you put a line through the race that put this horse on the bench and then the race off the bench, this horse is 3 for 3 hitting the board and is kind of going back to dirt sprints, which is what this horse I think is best at. When it got stretched out, you saw this horse really fatigued. So I think going back to a 1-turn 7 furlong sprint is kind of in this horse's wheelhouse. I think it'll run well. Here's the thing is I looked at this field, and I'll be interested, Barry, where you went. There's a lot of first-time starters. There's a lot of horses coming off the bench. There's a lot of horses that are potentially changing surfaces that have been running on synthetic and are now running on dirt. It just, nothing else really stood out to me, or none of the favorites kind of were overwhelming in this spot. So I just thought, here's a horse that's shown the ability to kind of finish on the board. And for $750 at 12-1, I just thought this was a horse that would provide some nice value and will probably put in, I think, a professional effort in a race that, like I said, I just wasn't overwhelmed with what some of the other horses brought to the table. So, like I said, it's more of a stable dual play than a win play. I wouldn't bet this horse to win, but I do like this horse to finish underneath and to get you, I don't know, like 25 points for $750 in stable duel. And if that's the case, that's a nice return on investment.
Barry, where are we headed in the sixth race?
I ended up, I did like 2 horses here, but I had to pick one, so I went with the 12, Imogene Malvina. I just thought that this horse, can greatly benefit off of that race where she did finish behind Lady Arsenault. And, that was actually, funny enough, Lady Arsenault was my gauge for a lot of what I did in this race, because I figured she's probably going to be the pace setter, and I also think that this line is a little wacky. There's some horses here like American Pyramid I thought might end up being the favorite over Baravina. It's going to play out a lot differently than what the morning line is. Let's just say that. Even the 9 Indigo Miss has some potential here to take a lot of money. So, I just think, Imogene Malvina hasn't really done anything wrong. Kind of got off to a slow start last time. I think that horse benefited from that one race. And Jose Ortiz, feels the need to stay. Where I'm sure he had his pick. And the horse that actually I'll give honorable mention to is Love Dragon, a first-time starter. I really like that bullet on March 19th. 4 out of 43, but it's not a bullet, but 4 out of 43 that day. Seems to be kind of coming into form here for the first start, and this is up in the air. I mean, if you're playing multis like pick 3s, pick 5s, this is definitely a spread race. I would never want to take any short price in this race. This could go a lot of different ways.
And I will say, just being out here in California and knowing my good friend Snoop, I know about gin and juice, but I don't know about sin, right? Like I know about roll. So I guess it is the same thing. I'm rolling down the street, smoking some Indo, sipping on some gin and sin, laid back with my mind on my money and my money on my mind, you know? So, gin and sin made me chuckle when I was looking at this one yesterday. But for Barry, it's going to be about the 12, Imogene Malvina in race number 6. So while we're at Keeneland Friday, it's opening day. I'm going to head to race number 7. I'm going to head to the Lafayette, and I'm going to take a look myself at the number 10, Magnolia Midnight. Now, we do want to keep an eye on what the racetrack looks like today, right? And what's nice is this is race 7, so we'll have plenty of time before then to know if it's really sloppy, what the track really looks like, you know, if it's been a really difficult track to make up ground, or just one that horses that don't like an off track are, you know, put a line right through. But this is a horse who you can really go race by race, and the whole career makes sense. So he debuts going 5 furlongs at Colonial. Not a bad race. Finishes 4th that day. And then in career start number 2, steps forward, wins, breaks his maiden by 7. They thought enough of that win that in career start number 3, they decided to step up into the Iroquois. And he tried Graded Stakes Company. That was probably a little bit too much to ask. He was 22-1 that day. He flashed speed and he faded. He probably did what they were expecting him to do, I think, from at least that perspective, but just wasn't quite that class. So then you come back in November and in December, and both of the races, when you turn back, are on off tracks. It's on a good racetrack, and then it's on a muddy seal track. And those races, you know, aren't that bad either. They both came back productive. In particular, the December 17th race, I wanted Chasing Time to be better. I in the Rebel and the Arkansas Derby, I was really impressed with his January 14th win. And, you know, and In Dreams is not bad either. The horse who went and took a shot in the Swale and was only 2-1. So that was another tough spot. And then following that, you've got Magnolia Midnight winning on January the 15th. This was one of the more impressive races that I can remember seeing for a horse to win with the kind of trouble that they had. So Magnolia Midnight, who is the 10 in the Keeneland race we're talking about, is the 5 in the race we're watching here. So we're watching the number 5, Magnolia Midnight, who it's not the big field, right? It's only a field of 6. So they kind of want to ask the 5 early to keep up. You don't want to get outrun because everybody's close up. So they just are, you know, make sure you're close up. But what happens now all of a sudden is those 2 horses in front sort of cross over, and this horse gets stuck in a really bad spot. Watch the 5 have to just tap on the brakes right here. And now it's like, uh-oh. Now this horse is in some serious trouble because they got nowhere to go. They're completely surrounded, just waiting. Like, that's got to be a rough feeling when you're a jockey. It's like, what am I supposed to do right now? Like, where am I supposed to go? I just got to sit. I just got to wait and hope and wait and wait and wait. And they're lucky that right now they end up getting a split. And then as soon as they do get a split and they're able to just ask this horse for anything, they respond really well. And they go by and they end up getting a pretty nice win when it's all said and done after that trouble. I think this horse has got something. I really do. And at 12-1 on the morning line will only cost you $750 to use. Johnny V's coming in. He takes the call here for Magnolia Midnight, the number 10. And what this feels like one of those fun Keeneland races, you know, it just really does. My prankster is going to take a ton of money, I'm sure, but give me Magnolia Midnight, the number 10, Johnny V aboard, only cost you $750 in your stable dual lineup. Barry, I got the sense that you had someone though in race number 7. Where are you looking?
I took a long look at Magnolia Midnight, and what kind of shied me away was the layoff. That's the only thing I didn't like.
Yep.
Now this is a race where I kind of like a horse a lot. Number 12, Tejano Twist, I like in this spot quite a bit. That being said, I want to hit the exacta here, especially in stable duel. I'm gonna play 2.
Yep.
So definitely going to use Tejano Twist, who I think is going to get the optimal trip from the outside. Everybody inside finished second to Epicenter, back in December. Came off the bench for 6 on a good track and ran really well. So there's a lot to build on there. Brett Calhoun is really good second time off the bench in this kind of spot. So that's the horse I like a lot. I don't know what kind of price we're going to get, although, Money Supply, I would think, will go favorite.
Yeah.
But I'm not really fond of that horse myself. I know he didn't get, an ideal trip the last time and still ran him off their feet with a 91 buyer. If that horse can pair up the 91, they can have that.
Yeah.
At a short price. I'm not going to be, upset if Money Supply beats me at like 2-1 or 9-5. That really wouldn't make a difference to me, even if I do lose. But the other horse I want to use is number 5, All in Sync. Another one that this horse may be what I like to call the trip horse. May be in the right spot. Second time Lasix. Joel Rosario. I mean, Steve Asmussen is absolutely phenomenal with these kind of layoff horses. 31 to 60 days, he's about 20%, and there's no reason why this horse can't run with the others. I mean, I will say this: my Prankster, I do not like at all.
Me either.
Yeah.
The horse that finished second to him last time in February, Dean Delivers, came back on Florida Cup Day at Tampa and just didn't run a step. And that was against state breds.
Yep.
Coming out of the swale into that, the horse didn't run a step. Not that my Prankster is going to do the same thing, but
it doesn't rank the form at a very short price. That's not what you want to take on a horse that's short.
Exactly. In a much tougher spot than the swale was.
Yep.
Now that it's kind of shaken itself out. That's why I like Tejano Twist. So we're gonna use those two in Stable Duel and hopefully hit this exacta.
Yeah. It's tearing up my heart when I'm with you. When we are apart, I'm feeling.
Isn't that Backstreet Boys?
I think that's in sync, right? I think the tearing up my heart. Is that in sync? Yeah.
No.
I think that one's in sync. Yeah,
Really?
I think so.
All
Yeah.
right.
I'm pretty
think
sure
so.
that's Backstreet
We
Boys.
need Soundhound. I don't know.
am down on my knees. I can't take. That was the
No,
one.
you're
when
right.
sing-
You're right. It is. I looked it up. You
I
got
think
it.
that was the one when you're singing to the ladies that you get down on the knees, and you show them, I can't take it anymore. That's the jam right there. Yeah, I like me a little. The boy bands were just.
Maybe
right
that's why
up my
it took me so long to get married, is I wasn't, singing to anybody on my knee, especially in sync songs.
That's true.
That's where I went
awesome.
wrong. See,
Yeah.
hindsight. It's just like watching the tape.
Yeah.
Now I figured it out. My bad.
The NSYNC and Backstreet Boys are okay. It was only if you were like on the off-brand boy band.
98 degrees.
90 degrees. Yeah.
How about, like,
That's exactly right.
I went to one with one of my buddies, and his like younger sister had these tickets to like a Disney put on concert. We went and saw BB Mac. You guys want to see
Ooh, yeah.
BB Mac? There you go. I think you got a little back here, baby. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh man.
There were a ton. It's like the New Balance. You get the off-brand there a little bit, even though New Balance are not bad. People make fun of New Balance. There's some nice New Balance shoes.
Dead sneakers.
Yeah. As we move along through the Friday card at Keeneland, Matt, you have any other places you want to stop on Friday at Keeneland?
Yeah, I actually want to go to the Ashland.
Yeah,
Let's go to
might as
race
well while
9.
we're here. Yep.
So, so this race, it's funny. This race, in my eyes, comes down to how much you like Kathleen O in some ways, I think. And I, as you know, is well documented, think Kathleen O is just a beast. And she would lap this field multiple times. And so I am all the way out on Nest, who I'm not sure if Nest has that next gear in terms of like a next progression. You've seen the last 3 races have all come back largely with the same speed figures. And so I'm just not sure this horse is progressing. Admittedly, that one off the layoff, the Suncoast, was an impressive win. I don't know how strong that field was necessarily. We're just talking about Blame the Champagne in a in an earlier kind of an allowance race, so and trying the turf. So I don't know about that. So the horse I really like in this spot is the 12 Cocktail Moments. And
Or
this
the
is a
7.
horse. Yes, the number 7. This is a horse that's going off at 12-1. It's only going to cost you $750. Last time out was coming off a layoff and finished third to Kathleen O at the Devonna Dale, which was a grade 2. If you notice, the second place horse in that race, Classy Edition, is the 5-2 second favorite tomorrow at the Gazelle up in Aqueduct.
Yep.
So, this horse at 12-1 feels like a little bit of a gift because this horse ran right behind the horse that just dominated the Florida or the Gulfstream Park Oaks last week and is right behind the second favorite at the other Kentucky Oaks prep race. So I just think this is a kind of an opportunity. There's a little bit of a market correction. I just think I just think this horse is probably going to get bet down, and you're going to get it's going to go off a post well below 12-1. And so I think also if you look at this race, this horse should improve based off coming second off the layoff. If you assume that Awake at Midnight's 90 was an anomaly, and it looks like that from a standpoint from a buyer speed figure.
Yep.
Then it really comes down to whether or not you believe like Cox's Interstate Daydream is as good as that last race, and which was a massive buyer speed figure jump of a 25-point jump. I think that's the 2-horse Interstate Daydream. And otherwise, if you kind of say, okay, well, maybe Interstate Daydream is in a class of its own, she's right there with everybody else. So I just think at 12-1, this horse provides really nice value. I tend to like to attack these stakes races, like the big races, with trying to find horses underneath. Because a lot of times, even when it's chalky, there's 3 or 4 favorites that are all pretty evenly matched. I don't like going there. They're not all going to fire. I mean, what happened last week at the Florida Derby is kind of, again, an anomaly where the top 3 run 1, 2, 3. I mean, that does not happen very often. So I like trying to attack with some value here. So I like Cocktail Moments. I think this horse that'll only build off that grade 2 Devonna Dale effort.
Yeah, and what's nice about Cocktail Moments is I have no concern about her getting distance and passing horses late.
Yeah.
Whereas a few of these others, they're going to get caught up early on. Someone's not going to, some of these shorter price horses aren't going to get the trip they want because Happy Soul is stretching out and Happy Soul is going to fly. And so if any of these other like presser speedy types are trying to chase Happy Soul, they're going to be in some serious trouble. They're not going to get the trip that they got in a lot of these races where they're just like, oh, I'm just going to sit a length off. It's not going to be like that for them. They're going to be like 4 or 5 lengths behind here and chasing. And that may not be where they want to be in this spot. Yeah, from a gambling standpoint, from a stable duel standpoint, I thought the 7 was a good fit here. Any opinion in this one, my man Sniper?
Actually, I do not. Funny enough, this race I was really indifferent with because it was such a difficult race. But I will say, Matt's onto the right thing as far as with Nest. I'm not really too keen on who that horse beat. It's really up in the air. So that one I wouldn't trust in this spot. Yeah. So I actually like his horse. I mean, I think Kathleen O is a beast too. So let's go.
Yeah. And we're going to, what we'll do right now is because
lots of 750s on my card.
Yeah.
That's okay though. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. When you're filling out your stable though, there is a moment of hesitation when you're like, man, I got like $36,000 left.
It's like, really? What am I doing? Right? Yeah. Am I smoking some stuff? What did Rennie pass me this morning? Right? Like, what is it? So we'll see. What's nice is that let's go to Santa Anita for a minute because Barry was just pointing out that in 1 or 2 of the races, they're also eligible as scratched. So maybe they do run on the grass. Let's shift to Santa Anita, talk a couple, Matt. And for some reason, if we find out while we're still talking that they do, if you guys want to come back and give out another play for Friday that's on the turf, we can do so. And just kind of knowing that they're in. But let's go to Friday for Santa Anita because I know you said you had 1 or 2 for Santa Anita, right, Matt?
Yep. In the first race, actually, we can just go right off there. And so I like, and of course I forgot to write the number of the horse down. Don't you love it? The number 6, Talented Lady. I think this is a horse that is going off at 20-1. And again, when you're talking about Santa Anita, you need to find really inexpensive horses because you're going to have short fields where you're not going to be able to find much value. So you got to find these 20-1s where you can. And I feel like this is a horse that just, didn't have a great debut, but just got shuffled back and was, at the very back of the pack, 11 lengths back.
No shot.
No shot at all. A couple of things stand out. One, this was an $850,000 Keeneland purchase last year. So there's some expectations here for this horse. The other is Sheriff's, the trainer, is pretty good at maiden second starts, winning at about a 14% clip with a really high ROI, which means he typically is hitting on some longer shots actually in those spaces. So I like that. The other thing is, if you look at that running line last time out, the horse didn't just give up. And that's what impressed me, because that horse could have lost by, how many times do we see a horse like that lose by 20 lengths, 30 lengths, where they just kind of go, all right, well, we're not doing anything. Bottom line is the horse, made up a few lengths at the end, was passing some other horses down the stretch, and so at least showed a little something there. I think second time out, this horse is going to vastly improve. The 20-1, it just feels, that's such an inexpensive play. You're looking at $250 at Stable Duel. So again, when you're looking at Santa Anita, you're going to need to find these really inexpensive horses so you can afford some of those favorites or second favorites in 5-horse stakes races, things like that. So I just like the number 6 Talented Lady in this spot. I think it's a horse that is going to hit the board and get you some nice points for an inexpensive price.
I've got one in this first race also, and I am looking at there's not a lot of speed in here.
No,
right? On paper, there's very little. I hope they decide with the 4 Dear Bow to go. Dear Bow's only race came, drew the rail, sprinting, and what happened was it caught a horse who was really fast. So Dear Bow is the 1 in here, and this race is over in about 2 seconds for Dear Bow, because it's over here, and the winner clears the field, and that's that, right? Like,
see ya.
Adios. This poor horse just has no shot. Fluent is just flying, and Fluent ends up winning this race, and it's not a bad race. But Dear Bow drew the rail, and I think should at least get some fitness out of there. The race has come back live. We've seen the runner-up come back to win. I like that you've got Vasquez, who's coming out to the West Coast as someone who rides a lot of dirt races at Oaklawn and is someone who can be aggressive. And I hope that's what the choice and the tactics are with this one. There was a horse that this filly is actually a direct sibling to, one that we remember from a few years back, Beau Recall, who has earned $1.4 million. Beau Recall was really nice going long. That's what Beau Recall wanted to do, go long on the grass. So I think this horse has a big chance to improve going longer on the turf. The breeding says it will. We saw this is a horse who was in really nice races, won the race on the Churchill undercard, the Distaff Turf Mile at 10-1. That was the race beating Got Stormy that day. I remember sort of the claim to fame for Beau Recall, who was an 8-time winner and earned almost $1.5 million. I feel like the 4 has the right to be better going longer on the turf. There's not a lot of speed in here. This horse is moving from a sprint to a 1 1/8 on the grass. And you have an aggressive jockey who's coming out here, who wants to start to make a name for himself, who wants to get into the winner's circle early on in the meeting. Give me the 1 Dear Bow, 8-1 on the morning line, and Stable Duel only cost you $3,000. And a nice way to start when you're building your lineups. But I can only find one more for myself on Friday at Santa Anita. How about for you, Matt?
Yeah, I have one more as well.
Okay, where do you want to go?
And so that's in race 3. I like the number 8, Perfecto Amor. It's so this is a race that is a $25,000 claimer, 5.5 furlongs on dirt. Perfecto Amor is going off at 5-1 morning line. It's going to cost you $6,000. I agree. There's not a it's kind of hard to find a lot of other value maybe in this in this card, and that's why I went with such a big swing with the 20-1 coming out of the gate. But I think this is a horse that's coming out of a 1,000 1,000-meter sprint at Los Alamitos. And a lot of times those horses might be ones you fade, but this is a horse that's run competitively at Del Mar and Santa Anita. This is a horse that's shortening up, has a lot of versatility, has run, 5 furlong sprints on the grass, has run, a mile on the dirt. And so there's a lot there. And this horse always seems to kind of run pretty solid efforts. I think this is a horse that the outside post position should be nice, should get at a kind of an ideal trip. I think the speed figures are consistently the best in the field because I think there's some horses that have just been very uneven. If you've looked at the rest of this field, some horses might really pop, but this is a horse that kind of, what you're going to get out of this horse. There's a lot of horses that'll go between 70 and 40 buyer speed figures. So I think Perfecto Amor at 5-1 for $6,000 is a horse, like I said, shortening up the background of the 1,000-meter sprint means it's not going to be intimidated by the early speed in a 5.5 furlong sprint. So I think this gives you a little bit of value at Santa Anita today.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna pop.
Actually, I had one at Santa Anita. It was just kind of an ad hoc. It's in the last race, so you know how I like the bailouts, man.
Absolutely.
To
get out special.
Yeah, in race 8, I like Eric the Viking, number 7.
Nice.
Just didn't get a chance to run, first time out. The comment in the form says pinballed, checked hard early. For the Yak Team Barn, who does really well second time out. This horse, the workouts are pretty solid. I'd give this one a chance, especially at the end of the card.
Renegade.
There's some things that to like as far as this horse running second time out. I think she's the 8 here, or he's the 8.
Yep, you can see, and let's pull up the
head on. Yeah, the head on is much better. Yeah, I'll give this horse a chance.
Absolutely.
In a race that's really kind of flat. Nobody looks all that great
Ooh.
here.
Oh.
Yeah, 0 shot. Like when
that's rough.
you're right out of the gate, your first time, and you just lose all your footing. And like, how long does it take you to even get comfortable again? Most horses at that point, they're like, screw this, I'm done. I'm done.
Right, that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah, like, I'm out.
He packed it in, but
Yeah.
again, these are $20,000 claimers. They're
Yeah.
And there's quite a few of them that run a few times, or
Yep.
you got a horse that's run 12 times, one that's run 7. Little Mischief run 9 times. So some upside there, and at a big price. If you need a horse to kind of fill out your stable, if you use favorites earlier in the card, or you need 2 in this race,
Yep.
I'm gonna go with the 7.
I'll throw
I like
in
it.
one more at Santa Anita on Friday in the 7th race, the number 6 Clamp It, who would only cost you $5,000 in your stable dual lineup. I think Clamp It, you can sort of look at and know what you're going to get from Clamp It. This is a horse who, when facing maiden special weights, was just in a little bit over their head, right? You see, yet they were just overmatched a little bit. So the only time they went long, they were in a race behind Oviatt, Class, Flying Drummer, and Barossa, which was actually a pretty strong race for the time. Then they dropped, they went back short, but still didn't run all that well. Then they dropped in for a tag, and then boom. It's like, oh yeah, we're a lot more competitive now because maybe we weren't quite a maiden special weight allowance type horse. Maybe we're more of a starter type horse. And this is a really nice spot for Clamp It. Now you're going to go 3rd start of the form cycle. You're going to stretch back out. And it looks like the 6 and the 7 are the 2 horses with speed in here. So maybe the 7 goes and Clamp It just sits right behind, or vice versa. I like when there's only 2 because you can kind of make your decision. If the 7 goes, sit right behind. I think it's a good spot for Clamp It in a race where I don't really love anyone else, right? Bud Knight is 1 for 23 with 8 seconds and 4 thirds. I'd rather take a horse like Clamp It, who has a little bit more upside, than even a Mongolian Ford, who you sort of feel like you know what you're going to get with that one. Clamp It, 6-1 on the morning line will get you 5,000 in your stable dual lineups. Shout out to one of the comments we got from No Gulfstream Stable Dual Matchups Friday, which is funny because I just looked in the app and I think on the schedule it might have been like a rollover from last week.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? He's got a little bonus from Barry.
Bonus.
Yeah,
Bonus
go to the
right?
betting window. Go to the
Exactly.
betting window.
Yeah,
You don't even
because
need
I
FanDuel.
wasn't we're no chalk zone. So
Yeah, I was gonna say the
you know,
problem would be if we give you less, not more.
right,
Right?
right.
Like, if we're, not if we give you any more. So shout
Oh,
out
so
to
update on Keeneland. They're going with what they have, like scheduling for the turf, but it's supposed to rain somewhere between 2 and 3 p.m. Eastern. So it's kind of up in the air at this
Yeah.
point. It might, it doesn't say like it's just going to downpour where it'll just, kind of wash out everything. It might rain and still be able to run on the turf. So they haven't scratched any turf horses yet.
We'll keep
just the
monitoring
AEs.
that. We'll let you know by the time we finish as much information as we have to pass along for you. And as we move along to Saturday, before we do, I want to spend 1 minute just giving a little love to a couple horses, because we're going to talk a lot of Keeneland Saturday and of Santa Anita Saturday. But Saturday is also closing day for my friends up at Sam Houston. Shout out to them. They had another really fantastic meeting. So if any of you, from a stable duel standpoint, want to play Sam Houston for the final time, you can do so Saturday night. But what's also really cool is that it's mandatory payout in all of their pools. So there are 3 particular races that if you're, let's say this, it's perfect because maybe you made a bunch of money at Keeneland on Saturday, you roll it right over. If you didn't, we got to get it back at Sam Houston on Saturday night. Let me find you 1 or 2 stable duel horses and horses that are in those important races, because races 6, 7, and 8 are the ones that start those mandatory pools. Like the 6th race kicks off the Space City Pick 6, and all that money must go, and I will go on over to a nice price of the 5, Wits Taquito, who is 12-1 on the morning line, will only cost you $750 in your stable duel lineup. There is not very much speed in this race. Wits Taquito has one of the best speed riders on the grounds in Lane Luzzy aboard. They're going to try turf for the first time. This horse's dam was a 5-time winner on the turf. Actually had some really nice turf success. And what I love to see, guys, is she wasn't very good until she stepped on the turf, right? Her dirt races weren't really good at all. And then, boom, go long on the turf. She almost won a maiden special weight after being well defeated in a maiden claiming race. And then you just start to notice, oh, wow, this is actually a turf horse. So I do think that there is some breeding here for Wits Taquito. Now dig into the siblings. Uncle Wit, multiple winner on the turf. Wit's Little Apache, multiple winner on the turf. President Wit, turf winner. Wits Taquito, this is the horse that we're looking at. The 2 of the horses that didn't win on the turf, Wit Loves Tacos and Wits Chrome, they only ran a combined 3 times on it. So it's not as if they have a bunch of turf experience either. It's kind of hard to say they don't love the grass because they ran on it so infrequently. Wits Taquito is 12-1 on the morning line. This could be an awesome horse in like a pick 6, in a mandatory payout pick 6. This is a great horse in stable duel because what's nice is you're going to get at least a good run for your money with the speed here. And these connections, Matt, we've talked about these connections all throughout the Sam Houston meet. Caldwell and Leslie, they've been winning a ton.
Sorry, I was muted. But yes,
No worries.
if you, those connections have been on fire. Caldwell always has his horses ready. Lane's been running just really well at Sam Houston. And if you paid attention last night, you saw that, the popular names, Rye Eichelberry, Lane Luzzy, Stuart Elliott, they ended up in the winner's circle a lot. So I know they're on chalk a lot of times, but you got to love it when you see a double-digit morning line horse when one of those guys on it.
I'm trying right now these next couple of days because I always have 1 or 2 in the Sam Houston meet that like help supply the rest of my year. And I'm like, yesterday there are versions of the multiverse where it happened to me yesterday because I had I had a horse on my ticket in my pick 5 that was 50-1 that won.
Yeah.
And I had on another leg, I had 2 horses on my ticket that were 45-1, and they ran 2nd and 4th, and they were flying late. And it's funny, in a different world, those 2 horses win, and I swooped that whole pool myself for $25,000. Because it ended up paying, I think, $16,000 last night with a horse who was way shorter than the horse who in the race that the 40-1 or the other 40-1 lost, the favorite won that race.
Mhm.
So if my bomb wins, I'm the only person alive when that thing hits. And so I feel like there's one coming. Feels like there's one that's still got my name on it that's just waiting for me in these final 2 days. I hope I can find it. And Gushing Oil would be the other horse that I gave out. Matt, I think we talked about this horse a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And they had to scratch out of a spot. He feels like a great pattern horse,
Yep.
Third start off the layoff, the long layoff, third start of the form cycle. He's got a nice running style where he can sit close. Excellent top-notch connections. Eckleberry aboard for Gustafson. If you put a line through the springboard mile, now you look back at this horse's form overall, and it all makes sense to you. Gushing Oil at 8-1 on the morning line. He is
Going back to Wits Taquito. I'm going to share an unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
I don't like tacos or
Oh!
taquitos. So
Me neither.
Wit
Me
is
neither. And I'm
out.
in SoCal.
Wit
right?
is out.
It's out.
Wit
No
is gone. We're not betting Wit.
No taquitos. Get them out
That's-
of here.
I mean, that's
No.
devastating to our friendship,
Yeah.
Barry. But I mean,
Yeah.
we're going to overcome. We're going to
I
overcome.
don't like him. I don't like him.
None of that. None of that. But we
Ah.
I wanted to give a little bit of love to our good friends out there at Sam
Lovely.
Houston. They've had a fantastic meet again. And Nick Tamaro did a really good job calling the races.
Yeah, he did.
That's one of those things that I don't think people understand how hard it is to do until you get up there and do it. Everyone's like, oh, what was that guy doing? What are they saying? And then you get up there and the pressure's on you and you're calling it. And then all of a sudden your glasses fog up or the binoculars fall, right? Or something goes wrong and you're live on and you got to start, like that's when the good announcers, you never know something like that happens.
I don't know how long he's been calling races, but he's awfully good. I mean,
Right?
you can't tell if
Nope.
he's new to the game. You
Yeah.
can't tell. He's
Yeah.
very good.
I gave him that compliment a few days in because for me, I'm big on the replays. And most of the time, unfortunately, I have to mute announcers,
Right.
because there'll be something that I'm like, well, that didn't happen. Or, they'll be calling something that's about to happen. I'm like, well, that's not going to happen. But I told Nick, I was like, I never have to mute you, which you should take as a compliment. Please take that as a compliment. He said, okay, great. So shout out to Nick Tamaro and the whole team over there at Sam Houston. Another very successful meet comes to end this weekend, but we head over to Keeneland for Saturday on Bluegrass Saturday. So Matt, what's your Saturday Keeneland looking like? Where do you want to head for a play or two?
Yeah, let's head to race 7. Actually, let's go straight to the grade 1, and
Okay.
let's go
Okay.
to Madison.
Yep.
And
Okay.
this is, so here's another thing. We're talking about weather today. Weather tomorrow is going to be even worse. There's
Yeah.
a chance for ice and snow. This feels like why we don't play opening day in baseball in like early April in Detroit.
right.
And like this is just
This is why.
another like reminder.
If
Like
it
I don't
makes you
even
feel
know.
any
I don't
better-
even know what that is. What is ice and snow?
If it makes you feel any better,
What
yesterday
is that?
it was I'm not kidding. It set world all-time records in Long Beach. In some parts of Long Beach, it
Yeah.
hit
90.
100 degrees.
Yeah.
that's
I'm
crazy.
not even joking. I didn't realize yesterday it was going to be that warm. And so
Yeah.
where I'm sitting, I started doing a couple interviews
Roasting.
and I'm like, what the hell? I'm like taking my shirt off. I'm like just drenched, dripping because I can't turn my AC on because it's so
Yeah.
loud that it'll be
Yeah.
in my recordings. I looked up, it's 93. I'm
He's
like,
in a
what is going on today? So
he's in a tank top.
yeah.
With a fan and the spritz.
When Barry and I see those things, I'm like, what world is that? Like that's not the world that I'm living in, So go ahead, Matt.
So yeah,
direct us.
So tomorrow, I mean, like I said, the weather's not going to be great there. So I really like the Cox horse here just one time.
That's my
Uh,
horse too. We're on the same
And
one. Yep.
so this is a horse that's going off at 8-1 for $3,000. And part of the reason I like it is this horse has won in the slot before. And I don't know if it's going to be a sealed track tomorrow or what the condition. There's going to be moisture in the dirt no matter what.
Yep.
That's for sure. And so this is a horse that's 5 for 6 lifetime winner. And I really it's a little bit like a manual. Like I was kind of out on this horse going into that inside information stakes.
So
'cause
she's
I was
the
like-
8 in the race that we're watching right
Yep.
here.
And just, doesn't get off particularly well. And then just easily gets past the rest of the field. And I just
Because
thought
like
it was,
this right here was different than what she'd ever done,
yes,
right?
yes,
Her only other races, she's been so much better and so much quicker and just gotten perfect trips that she would just sit right to the outside.
Yep.
And it was hard to get a feel for, okay, she's faced Pennsylvania breds in 3 of
Exactly.
her races. Like, how good is this filly? Really,
Yeah.
we don't know.
Yeah, and that was the question is because I grew up in that area and I was like, how isn't a horse that was running in allowance races at Penn National going to go down to Gulfstream and win a grade 2? And then she did.
And be
so
favorite. Be
yeah,
favorite in that race.
and was
right?
the favorite and like I said, didn't get off great and passed a lot of nice horses. I mean, Jakarta has had a pretty nice renaissance and came back from this race to finish second in a stakes race up at Park. So, I just think Just One Time is just, like I said, a nice horse who's going to like these conditions.
You
It's got a
don't
lot of
win when
natural
you
speed.
tip out wide like that at Gulfstream,
Yeah. And
Should have lost, to be honest with you.
right? I know.
Because I had a
The
pretty
5, right?
sizable bet on the 5.
I know.
and
Yeah.
Me too.
yeah,
Just should have.
between here.
That's who I was
get
on
a
too
great
that day.
ride.
That's
and
who I was
I,
on too
and
that
and
day.
funny enough, in this race, I'm on the 5 again.
Yeah,
or
that would be the
races.
other one for
I
me.
love
didn't-
this horse
Yeah.
in this race.
Now, the only thing that, and because I really like Four Graces a lot as a horse, and I'll throw her in to late exotics. The only thing that worried me a little bit is I wish the last race was a little bit better. It disappoints me, but from a stable duel standpoint, she's nice at 15 to 1 because
Oh,
she's
yeah.
only $500, right? I think you're muted, Sniper.
Oh, yeah. This horse is just, rounding into form. I thought the bad beat in the inside information, that was the time, and I can forgive the last one because, it seemed like they were pointing toward that inside information
Yeah.
race, and this one is the bounce back.
Yep.
So you get the Hurricane Birdie. She doesn't run all that great. Obligatory was coming off a layoff, ran excellent as the second choice, I believe.
Yep. She's run well at Keeneland before.
Exactly, and 15 to 1 seems a little bit absurd.
Yeah.
Considering there's a lot of speed in here. I'm not sold on Just One Time as of yet, although I think that horse is going to take more money than the 8 to 1 morning line.
Right.
Center Isle looked kind of interesting at a price, but if that one gets hooked with Lady Rocket, it just sets it up for a horse like Just One Time or, Four Graces, and I just went with the longer price, basically.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think again it speaks to this is definitely a race to attack underneath. I mean, because I think Kamari is a vulnerable favorite, and I think Lady Rocket is that last race an anomaly, and is also coming off a layoff. Bell's the One's coming off a pretty lengthy layoff as well. So I think you can find some really nice value underneath.
And Bell's the One is super nice, but from like a playing, she's a fine horse to play against because with her running style, she's got to come from the back and she kind of has to get the mercy of racing luck.
Yep.
So that is the Grade 1 Madison on Saturday. Barry, what about you for Saturday over at Keeneland?
Race 2.
Let's go back in
Race
time.
2. We're going back. We're going back in time like Marty McFly here.
I was going to say going back.
I don't know if I told you guys the
Cali.
story or not, which is cool, but my dad actually built Michael J. Fox's house. My dad's a general contractor.
Really?
Huh.
And when Michael J. Fox was like the biggest star in the world, my dad built his house in Bel Air out here. Like while he was doing Back to the Future 2 and when he started doing other stuff. And so I have 2 like Hot Wheels style limited edition signed DeLoreans.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
That I used when I was a kid. So one of them I would ride, and the other one we kept in the box, and I never took it out. And it was awesome. It was like one of like 100 like limited edition things. He signed them, and so I'm like a massive Back to the Future fan because it was a pretty cool story. Like knowing my I'll tell you this, man. I look back at some of those tax returns of my dad's those years. Some good years for the Bacola family, man. When Mr. B was making a couple $100K in like the late 80s, early 90s, like not doing too bad there, Papa Bacola, as we go back to the future, Barry, and we go back to race number 2 where we headed.
Oh, you're muted, Barry.
I muted myself. I'm a jerk. Number 5, Emirates Road
Nice.
is the horse that I ended up on here, and didn't run all that bad first time out. Got a 70 buyer, which is competitive with these, especially first time off the bench. I don't think anybody first time out ran that fast. But yeah, there's a lot of upside here. This isn't a really great group for a maiden special weight. Captain Trafalgar, who Emirates Road finished behind last time, is an also eligible that probably would be favored here in this spot if that horse is able to get in. I don't think that horse is going to get into this race.
Way out wide.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't think Emirates Road wanted that kind of trip last time. He was out wide, 5 wide, just really kind of Pepe Le Pew around the track. And I think this horse has more speed than what the past performances show. And I'm hoping to see this horse forwardly placed. A horse like Bourbon Heist is just unreliable all the way around at 7-2. And you may need to look to somebody else, even Jeeper, who has some speed, doesn't look all that great. I mean, hasn't been out since December, since basically Christmas time. At 3-1 on the chalk when there's more speed in this race, I just don't want any.
Bet too because of Simon.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I want no part of that. And I'm okay with going with Emirates Road here. I think this horse is going to get bet down, but still stable duel. Definitely a good play. You could get your money's worth with value as 3,000 on the line. Probably end up, maybe you'll probably think about 4 or 5 to 1.
Emirates Road in race number 2. I am going to head a little later on the card to race number 8.
Oh, I have one there too.
For my final play. And then we spoke already about the bluegrass there earlier with Mike. So if after the 8th race, Barry or Matt, if you have anything else at Keeneland for Saturday, we'll head where you want to go. I actually thought in this race there were multiple horses that you could use, honestly. It's a fun turf sprint, and based off of their morning lines, I thought the 2 horses that I wanted to kind of key in on were either the 4 or the 5. Diamond Oops or Gear Jockey. I think I end up more on Gear Jockey, just feeling like it's a really good spot for a horse who you can toss the last 2. And it sort of makes sense. End of the year, you got the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint going 5 at Del Mar. And the thing about Gear Jockey, when you go through, he was like a miler who they turned back to a turf sprinter. And when you have that happen, those horses have a tough time at 5 because 5 is just a little bit short for them. Once you get into 5.5, 6, 6.5, well, they're fine. But at 5, I think they just have a tough time keeping up with the really, really fast horses going a short distance there. And so I think you can kind of see that with Gear Jockey in some of his races where 5 furlongs just might be a little bit hard for him to keep up. I think you get a little bit more here, just a tad more. You got the race under your belt. And I do feel like there are at least a couple that are going to try to do their best to keep Golden Pal company. In particular, the horse to the outside, Just Might, who's older. He's a 6-year-old. He's been around for a long time. And because of that outside draw, he has no choice. He can't sit. Yep. He's got to go. That might put Golden Pal in a tough spot with the horse to his outside flashing a little speed. And if he's got to work a little bit harder, I think you can make the case for Gear Jockey. Heck, I had no problem with the Learjet either. Like any of these horses in the middle, I wouldn't talk you off of. Diamond Oops seems like he's a little bit better now going shorter. If you kind of dig into his best recent races, they seem like they're the sprint races. And so maybe he gets a little more punch that way. I'm leaning Gear Jockey 10-1, Matt. Only going to cost me $1,000 for stable duel. Yep. What about for you?
So I'm in the 6. I like the Learjet. And so this is a race where, listen, if Golden Pal breaks the way he's hit at the Breeders' Cup, I mean, where he was like 3 lengths clear of the field, like 100 meters in. I was like, okay, well, this is over. But I agree. I think Just Might is to the outside is going to put some pressure. The way Just Might really fatigued last time out down the stretch and got caught by Pyron who is a real big long shot. Just that concerns me about that horse. I just don't know if there is going to be a matchup speed duel. I'm kind of out on Just Might. The Learjet is the only horse in this race that can boast the fact that it's beaten Golden Pal, which happened over in Ascot, second career start. This horse kind of went into a little bit of a slump after that, but came back, made its North American debut at Kentucky Downs, won a grade 2, the Franklin Simpson Stakes, and has been off since then. The nice part is Brendan Walsh has a 24% win rate with horses coming back from a 6-month or longer layoff.
Yep.
So, you trust that the trainer is going to get this horse right. This horse clearly has the talent to run with a horse like Golden Pal, and so has a lot of class. I think is going to have a big effort coming off the layoff, and at 12-1 at only $750 provides you a lot of value. I think underneath, even if a horse like Golden Pal, who's $11,000 in stable duel because of those 4 to 5 morning line, even if that horse ends up winning, you still could get something underneath for a really nice price from a morning line standpoint with the Learjet. So I like that horse, but I wouldn't talk you off the 4 or 5 either. I think they all provide nice value underneath. I think that's where you attack this race.
Yep.
Maybe Golden Pal falters, but even if it doesn't, there's a lot of nice value underneath.
Used to be
Yeah, it's crazy, because you have a horse like Golden Pal who's $11,000 in stable duel. I find it more challenging to try to pick a horse to finish second than you would the winner. Obviously, I mean, especially in this kind of situation. I know as far as stable duel strategy, I'll just stay away from this race altogether, and not even attempt unless I really thought somebody could beat Golden Pal. But that being said, I can understand somebody, just trying to throw one out there just to hit second if you think that Golden Pal is just a foregone conclusion. So it's just one of those things where you have your stable duel lineup is just those decisions that you have to make, and it makes all the difference. I mean, it could end up making or breaking you. That one decision or one horse that finishes third instead of second.
Are you a minus 20 instead of right in the next race? So you could have at least been a safe 15,
Yeah.
It's tough.
And Barry, to your point, a lot of times in these races, I don't know if I'll do it in this one, but I actually like to double up with the huge favorite, where I'll go with the big favorite, like kind of like what you were saying with Tejano Twist, like go with the favorite, and then I'll go with a really inexpensive horse underneath, try to catch the exacta, because then my average,
it's right about on par.
Exactly. Even in this case, Golden Pal and a $750 horse is going to cost you less than $6,000 on average, so you're not that far over budget.
Yep.
It's I don't know. Again, I don't know if I do it in this particular race, but when there are those kind of overwhelming favorites, I try to kind of hit the exacta and play both sometimes.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a decision, and it's not tough. That's what makes this game hard. And get paid when you win, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Keeneland Saturday, we got one more for you, Barry.
Yes, sir.
Where are we
Bailout.
11.
Well, no, race 10. Not quite a true bailout, but. Unless after the bluegrass, you want to stick around for another 2. I'm probably only gonna stick around for 1 because I'm gonna hit this one and drop the mic. So we're gonna go with number 2. She's a mystery. I think this horse has some upside here. If you take out the turf races for this horse and the synthetic, this horse is competitive with everyone here, and I really. I don't like a horse in Iliagami who's been out since October 2021, albeit losing to Crazy Beautiful and played hard. I can't see that horse just firing off the bench, although, has every right to. The barn doesn't fire really off the bench like this. So why would I expect a horse at 7-2 to do the same thing? No. Temper Time seems a little bit on the cheaper side coming off synthetic. I'm not too keen on that one's chances. You have the horse coming from Peru who could be any kind at 15-1. That horse kind of scares me a little because this is the right time for something like this to happen. After a big race, something crazy, to end the card. But yeah, I mean, this horse is very competitive with everyone in here. Is 12-1 on the line, getting top rider. So I'm figuring that price is going to go way down. If you look back in July 2021, this horse ran second to Army Wife, who was razor sharp at the time. There's a lot to like here. And I think this horse was over her head for a while, and now this is a more realistic spot. Second off the bench, turf to dirt. It's
And I'm
go
not
time.
I'm not someone who you'll probably very rarely hear me mention just like a blatant jockey angle, or oh, these connections team up together, just plain. But when Irad
They
jumps
do
on a
not.
horse like this,
Right.
they're live at the very
Exactly.
least, right? Because he's not doing anybody any favors.
Except for himself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not a fit of any of these horses. For him, he'd be more likely to take a break than ride a horse that's
Right,
going to be
sure.
It's like,
30 to
yeah,
1 and have no
I'm out of
shot.
town.
Yeah, it's like, hey, give me this race off. Let me kick back for 30 minutes and take a nap if this horse doesn't have a shot. So this horse is live, and that's the 2. She's a mystery. Matt, you have anything else at Keeneland on Saturday?
I mean, I got a lot, but we can talk about that later tonight. And so we can move to
Cool.
Santa Anita.
Yeah.
And
Let's get the
yeah.
let's finish up our weekend in Stable Duel with the Santa Anita card on the Santa Anita Derby Day. Unfortunately, the Santa Anita Derby is not really a great Stable Duel race, but it is like a fun matchup between 2 legitimately top tier Kentucky Derby contenders. So Barry, my man, you got 1 or 2 out at Santa Anita on Saturday, right?
I got 3.
Awesome. Where do you want to head for
I got
Santa Anita
3.
for Saturday?
Race 8. I have 8, 10, and 12.
8,
Ooh,
10, and
nice.
12.
Going on
Let's
the
head
second
to-
half of the card here.
Yeah, and you know what they did in knowing and talking with them? They really want to pump the late pick 5. They're going to do a big promotion from Express Bet and with First Bet. And you can tell they stacked all of the short fields and their graded stakes early. And then all of the best betting races are in the late pick 5. They're not the best quality races, but they're the best betting by far. If you're looking for value or playing pick 4s and pick 5s, all the late races are where you can really sink your teeth into them. So not a surprise, Barry, that you attack those races because those are the ones that are wide open and probably have the most vulnerable favorites.
Yes, absolutely. So in race 8, we're going to go with number 5, Speed Grazy. The past performances kind of don't really, in my opinion, tell the whole story on what happened with that horse. He definitely was off slowly. Ran up into contention on the inside and ran really greenly. But I just think that this horse has, a form reversal in his future. And you'll see him. He'll start off,
So
he
he missed the break already.
just missed it. And you see the outside horse, the 8. That horse is in this race also. That's Dutch Bus. And that horse runs pretty good, but also that horse has had races under his belt.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of expected. But you see in the middle of the screen there, the 7, Speed Grazy runs a really decent race
It's not a bad
considering.
race at all. Yeah.
No, the past performances make it look worse than it really was.
Right here, the horse is right up into contention, but
Right.
sort of moves down
And-
inside, and
right,
they're not
and
gonna be
passes
able
a
to
horse.
keep their momentum going, right?
Right, exactly. Just passes the horse, and I think the slow start, and maybe the rider may have pressed a little bit just to get the horse back in contention. But I'm not against this horse coming back and improving off of this
No,
effort.
not at all.
Yeah.
He was 13 to 1 that day, 12 to 1 on the line today. I would expect you're going to get somewhere around that price.
Mm-hmm.
But I can forgive that effort. Again, these are a lot of lightly raced horses here. This is a state bred $50,000 claimer. Nobody looks outstanding. Dutch Bus looks okay.
If you
You
were
know,
to write Brian Coroner, who is Brian Coroner? What does Brian Coroner do well?
This.
To ask someone, you would say
This.
Yes, exactly. He gets horses that are young, that don't have a lot of experience, and he breaks them. He gets them to break, and a lot of times he sells young horses like this to other connections because he can get horses ready to fire right off the bat. That's a skill. That's something that's really hard to do. We see really good barns, the best trainers that still can't get their horses to run first time out of the box very well. And that's
Right, and
something that
his stock isn't as good
no,
as
and so
as
he's
that.
got a lot of Calbred horses, just like we're talking here. But you always know they are ready And what's nice is they're usually going to overperform early on, and they're going to be nice prices. Horses just like this. This horse won't. The problem, if he doesn't win or they don't run well in here, it's not going to be because he wasn't ready to go.
Correct.
Right. And
Yeah.
and that's what
Yes.
you want. You never have to worry about that with corner or with young horses. Gets them ready to rock and roll. Good looking fella, too. A lot of the ladies like BK.
Yeah, I mean, you go through this field, the outside horse doesn't look, like that one's ready to fire first off the bench at Animal Kingdom. May want turf. You have
Yeah.
Saucity? Saucity?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that horse.
Slappy, Swanson,
Swacity?
Samsonite. I was
Yes,
wrong.
Mary Samsonite. That horse, ran good in that race that we just saw at 15-1 and almost won. And that was kind of an anomaly. That horse hasn't even come close to that kind of effort before, really. Especially on dirt. So, this is right for a horse to come in and score at a decent price. And I think the one Dutch Bus is probably going to take some money. And I think that horse is kind of like an up and down type.
What I love about the name of the horse too is it's Speed Crazy, but to me it looks like Speed G Crazy, and I'm like, yeah, I am pretty crazy. So I feel like it's like, okay,
It's always on the table. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. As we were hanging out at Santa Anita for Saturday. Thanks so much. We had a little longer edition this week because we got to bring in Mike Rennie, and he brought a little smoke with us this morning to say hello. So we had some fun. We're getting you all set up for opening day at Keeneland on a big Stable Duel weekend. You can always go right now, download that Stable Duel app, your phone, your iPad. It's free to download, and there are contests each week that are free for you to enter. All you have to pay is whatever the entry fee into which game you'd like. So if you want to play in a $10 game, cost you the $10 to enter, and you can win a ton of money. If you ever have any questions, maybe you're just you caught our stream by someone retweeting it or sharing it, and this looks kind of fun to you, let us know. I'd love to help you out. I know Matt in particular loves to help everyone out. Barry is so great on social media answering questions. So if you ever need any help with Stable Duel, anything in racing, anything at all, we'd love to help you out here. A couple of my buddies that I love talking races with, and they're always that's what's great is that we're here because people helped us get to this point. We were very lucky when we asked questions that somebody said, I'm not going to get annoyed by that person, right? There were a couple people that took us under their wing and said, I'll help this guy out. And so thank you to all those people through the years who helped me and Matt and Barry, and we'd love to do anything that we can to help you. If you're someone who's maybe a novice or you're not exactly sure what we're talking about here. Matt, Saturday, Santa Anita, where are you looking?
Yeah, let's go to Back to the Future. So let's go to race 3, and let's go. It's a $25,000 claimer, 1 mile on the turf, and again, this is a race. This is a field where I think you can attack. The favorite is 2 for 17 lifetime winning, so this feels like a pretty vulnerable spot. And so I really like the number 4 Badger Kitten, which is 15-1. It's only going to cost you $500 on Stable Duel. This horse likes a mile on turf.
Yeah.
I mean, really, your analysis can stop and end with that.
Right there. Yeah.
This horse likes a mile on turf, and so if you look, 2 of the last 3 efforts at a mile on turf were wins. Broke its maiden on a mile on turf, came back, finished 4th the next time out in a claimer, but then came back from that and won the next time out. Then had got into a little bit of a deeper water with the starter allowance. And then got stretched out. When this horse gets stretched out, it just fades late.
Yep.
So I just think this is a horse that is 2 for 5 winning at the distance, 2 for 3 the last 3 times out. Decent pedigree too. So I like the pedigree up top in particular with Kitten's Joy. But like I said, I just feel like this is if you just look, and we talk a lot about crossing races out. If you just look at those turf mile races, this horse is right there with just about anybody else in this field, and has done it at this level, at this kind of $25,000 claimer level. I understand why Rapid Transit's a little, obviously shorter odds at 7-2. They ran against each other last time out. Rapid Transit, didn't fade as much as Badger Kitten, but again, that was at 2 additional furlongs. So we're shortening back up to a mile. I think Badger Kitten for $500. Again, we talk about Santa Anita, need to find value so that you can use horses in those graded stakes races early on. If you want to use a Dare Manor, if you want to use Forbidden Kingdom, or if you want to
Yep.
use Messier, well, then you got to have some $500
Horse
horses
like
in your
this.
back pocket. Yeah.
You got to have
Yeah.
one or two. That way, Badger, Kitten. I can actually get us started with a horse who, in a small field, I kind of like towards the outside in Royal Address.
Yep.
So it's just a field of 6. They're going down the hill here. And Royal Address's last 2 races down the hill were both very good. And it's another one of these horses that just kind of makes sense. Like everything about her makes a lot of sense. You see, she raced a couple times overseas. Then she comes over here to the U.S. She debuts, and she's twice behind Going Global, who we see later on the card. Going Global is a Grade 1 winner and is really, really nice. So no shame in losing to Going Global, who's 4 to 5 in the morning line later on Saturday. So not the easiest spot to show up for your first couple starts in North America. Then you're off from April to September. You show back up and you run into a horse named Too Sexy. I mean, guys, I'm talking about how warm it is out here. I'm too sexy. Okay, no, I'll stop. That's for like the Friday night stream, right, Matt? That's for like late at night after we.
I have to have some wardrobe
I was gonna
malfunctions
say,
tonight, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. We got to have a couple of those toddies before that bad boy starts going. But Too Sexy is a horse who came out of that race to win $150,000 turf sprint stakes over at Belmont Park. This race came back live because Miss J. McKay was also in there. Miss J. McKay, we know, who when she's down at Gulfstream Park and she gets the right trip, she's really good. And she's super capable of winning turf sprint stakes like we saw back at the end of the year when she won that $100,000 stakes race. So I'm looking at Royal Address, and it all sort of makes sense to me. Right now, I love looking at horses like this where it's like, oh, okay, well, those 2 races weren't that great, but those were her first 2 starts. One of them was a mile and an eighth. So you can absolutely put a line through that. And then she was gone for a few months. She comes back, and both of those races at Belmont and Aqueduct are pretty good, but she just runs into sharp horses. Then she goes to the bench for a few months. She shows back up at the beginning of this year, and she's got 2 bang-up races out here in Southern California down the hill. Feels like she sort of likes the trip down the hill, too. It fits nicely for her. You look at the rest of the field, I think she gets the jump on Tapwater. I think she's going to be in front of Cover Version. Brooke Marie is probably the one that they'll have to catch in here. And what are they going to do with Alice Marble? From the rail, I think Royal Address can either sit second or third in here. And at 6-1 on the morning line in a small field, 5,000 for your stable dual lineup, it's not a bad way for me to start with, I think, a horse who will be forwardly placed and in the mix throughout. So
probably get bet down. I don't think that 6-1 is.
No, me neither. And for stable duel, that's fine. That's great. But doesn't this feel more like a 7-2 shot?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that's what I thought when I was looking at this race. I was like, this horse should be 7-2 in here.
Yeah.
Not 6-1. So you guys are lucky. I'll keep the shirt on for this morning for right now.
Thank you.
Ladies,
Thank you.
Ladies, don't you one of these weeks, just keep I'll tease it for you. Gary, my man. Saturday in Santa Anita, where are we going?
Race 10.
All right, Barry, let's see.
Okay.
Oh, you got one in race 10?
I got one there
I
too.
do. Let's see.
Everybody's live in the 10th. Where are we going?
Okay, you sure you ready for this? I don't know if you guys are ready.
I'm bracing
You
myself.
guys, you guys aren't ready for this.
Let's do it.
All right, I ended up on Carmen Miranda.
Yes, Barry. We're back, baby.
Look at these 2. I love it.
Yeah, I just thought that first effort off the bench was really good on the turf. It just felt like it was just a spot they wanted to get the horse to get on the track to run. Now going over to the dirt in this state bred stake is like perfect. The race sets up for this horse, I think, perfectly. The inside horses are going to get bet heavily. Big Novel and Connie Swingle. I think there's enough speed to occupy both of those horses. And in fact, back on September 3rd of 2021, this horse finished the exacta with Connie Swingle. And I think, the stablemate, I think this one can turn the tables. The morning line seems a little bit high.
I agree.
Because I think they're going to be closer in odds than that. But yeah, stable duel, definitely got to play this horse. 8-1. I think this horse will probably be about maybe 5-1, 9-2 on the line.
You're
when
there
when
too,
it
Matt?
starts.
Yeah, I'm there too. I like the 3 a lot. The price makes a lot of sense. I think the fact that the 2 favorites are breaking from the inside, they're both
That
going to have to
hurts.
send. It absolutely hurts, and so I think it just sets up really nicely for Carmen Miranda, who I think, you look. I mean, that was a
It's
nice
the third best horse in the race on paper.
Yeah, and
Easily.
with the first 2 having potential issues, and so
Right.
I think that that was a really nice effort on turf after what was that, a 6-month layoff, almost like a 5-month layoff, like that was, so to see a horse try a new surface and finish a really strong third, I like it. Rispoli stays on the mount, and so yeah, I really like the 3 a lot. So I'm glad we're on the same page there.
I was looking around.
We finally got there, Barry.
I don't have any of my fruit hats local, but I think that was Carmen Miranda was the one.
Right?
who wore
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
big fruit hats. There we go.
But we can brand this if we're all on it. We can brand this the Law Professor Lock of the Week.
There we
So,
go.
There
Yeah.
you go. We're all on it.
We get the law hat. Well, I will. Unfortunately, though, I gotta say I'm in a different direction here. But I have no issue. I have no issue with Carmen Miranda, especially with my guy Rispoli aboard, who he's going to be actually shifting the tack.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw to Kentucky.
Yeah.
They were thinking about New York, but now they're going to move, I think, and head over to Kentucky and focus out there. And I'm looking towards the outside. Now, I don't know if this horse is as good as some of the others in here, but this 9 horse, Your Honor, has done so little wrong. And this last race was a race where they should not have won. So we're looking at the 1 here, Your Honor. Slow start from the inside, so you're back to last. This is going a mile on the turf. Now, the reason why I'm showing this is because we've seen this horse go on the dirt before, so I'm not really concerned with surface. This was just about to show like the talent of this horse. So you could tell it was not liking it down inside. It was already kind of in tight, so shifted to the outside. This horse is just kind of green at the back of the pack, right? It's kind of like
heads all over the place.
Yeah. Like super talented, but they're just like full of run, but they got to try to, grab a hold. So now they got to look for a spot to run. And so you're up to kind of 5th, but you don't want to be too wide. So let's maybe tuck in, but now we're in between horses. And now this probably isn't the best spot because this horse in front starts to tap on the brakes. And now look at the 1.
Mikey, he looked like he lost his irons there for a second.
I know. Like nowhere to go. They backed up, looking around, trying to find room. They've lost like multiple lengths of positioning right here. And it's like, I'm just going to steer this horse to the outside and go as wide as possible in this field, give up all the ground, and then just inhale the field. This was a race that the 1 like wasn't supposed to win and run down this horse with that kind of trouble early on. This is just a nice horse who's a little bit better than they're supposed to be. Honestly, you go through this filly's entire career. She debuted and she won first time out of the box. She came right back and she was second. And she was well beaten in her second race, but there was nothing wrong with it. Career start number 3, she wins. She beats Open Company. They step her up to first level allowance in career start number 4. She wins that race. And she's got wins at 6 and at 7. So I feel like the 6.5 furlongs should hit her right between the eyes. It should be a perfect trip for her. She's got more speed than she showed last time out. We noticed that it was mainly because she was off slowly from the rail, and then she's kind of in between. I wouldn't be shocked to see her tracking a little bit more. I love where she's drawn towards the outside. The only thing I don't see as a positive is obviously when one of the top riders is going to leave and go elsewhere. But it makes a ton of sense when Hernandez would go and ride for bigger barns than Cliff Sice, because he's going to get a lot more business for any of the other trainers in here. They just have more horses that they're going to put him on. He's up for Eddie Truman here, which is sort of funny, but that's the pick. I do think Professor's Pride is probably the more likely winner, and I would throw in the 6 from a speed standpoint. This is a fun horse. This is a cool Calbred, Your Honor, who just, deserves a ton of credit, and it's in Stable Duel, 8-1, $3,000 in your stable dual lineup, I'm throwing in, the outside runner. But again, every time we all attack a similar race, it's because we think the favorites are vulnerable. We think the favorites, there might be too much speed, 6.5, maybe a tough trip for some of the shorter prices. I'm to the outside with your honor at Santa Anita. So
Well, that's good because I thought you were gonna pick Javonica again in the
I
seventh.
know. We got to. Where's our girl? Was it race 5?
Race
Race
7.
7.
And
You know
Javonica,
what?
as Gino pointed out, is guaranteed to get you points because it's a 5
Guaranteed points. It's only a field of 5.
As long as you
Gotta
finish
take
within
her.
10 lengths.
Gotta
And
take
one-
her.
to show you, like, actually, I like Park Avenue a lot in this spot.
Yeah.
There's no speed
No.
in here at all, and going global will probably just try to take back and save ground from the inside. Accelerina isn't fast. Javonica's not fast. She's been able to get the lead. Like, her race that I actually liked, and the race where I really liked her the most, was in that Del Mar Oaks, because there wasn't that much speed there. She ran okay that day. She did what I was hoping she would. She got the lead, just wasn't good enough. She should actually sit a perfect trip in second. It should be Park and Avenue getting the lead, Javonica sitting second, and then the closers, just coming and getting them. But, I think from a betting standpoint, Park Avenue is she's interesting in this race because she threw in a couple awesome wins here in October and December. And then she stepped up and she ran into, as time goes by, and Marinant, a couple nice Baffert horses who were just a little too much for her. But she's got ability and she seems to have a tactical advantage here. But shout out to our gal, Javonica, who's
Always.
I've just burned a lot of those last 4, at least the last 3, because I didn't play her at Golden Gate as the heavy chalk. But boom, 13-1 there in the Oaks, 14-1. That was the one that that race, the Autumn Miss.
Oh.
That was the one that got me. She had so much trouble there. And I was convinced on January the 7th she was going to come back and run well. That was not the case for Javonica. Oh. She gets me all pumped up this morning already again. The blood's already boiling on this Friday morning. Fellas, do we have anywhere else to head while we're at Santa Anita?
Yeah, the bailout.
Bailout.
It's a true
race.
bailout. The 12.
Bailout Barry, baby. Bailout Barry. We head to race number 12. Where are we going?
Number 1, Brotherly Love.
Nice.
What I feel for you, gentlemen. It's right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Right
Fitting end to the card on Sunday.
Yep.
But I just felt like this race is lacking a lot of speed, and this horse is getting a weight break and speed from the rail. I just expect this horse to be the controlling pace, and it's as far as Brotherly Love wants to take him.
Yep.
Because the horse inside is getting blinkers. It's big. I don't think that horse is much, even though he's kind of on the drop a little bit. But I just think this is just the right time for this horse. He showed speed in the past at a
Missed
higher
the break
level.
last time out, so put a
Right.
line right through that race.
The last 2
Yeah.
really didn't get ideal starts. So this is the one. This is the time. I think the horse is 10-1 on the line. So, not bad. I guess I would give an honorable mention to Candy for Carmel. That was the other horse that kind of stuck out to me a little bit, coming out of 150,000 maiden claimer, which is really odd condition. But
I know.
trying turf for the first time, should probably move up on the turf. But yeah, I'm going with the 1 though. That's the horse I want to win, and that's the horse we're going to bail out with on Sunday.
That's
Saturday.
Saturday,
My bad.
Play race number 12, Santa Anita, Saturday. Maddie, do you have a final play?
Nope. I'm going to bail out Barry's play. So that's what I'm doing.
Let's go.
Bail it out. Barry is going to bail it out. And folks, we hope we don't have to bail you out this weekend. Be good, right?
No,
Be good.
stay out of jail.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah,
be good.
don't do that.
Stay out of jail.
In there till Monday.
Yeah, wait at least till Monday. Wait there. As if you are, then you might have been hanging out with our buddy Mike or something like that. And getting some trouble. I'm just kidding, Mike. I'm just kidding. Because we're out on the West Coast, so we're legal. That's the great part. We don't have to worry about any of that stuff. We're good to go with Mikey. It was so nice, Mike, to check in with us this morning. It's like anything, with baseball yesterday, start of the season, there's like an energy, right? It's the beginning of the season. It's the beginning of the team. You get that when meets begin, and there's an energy this weekend when Keeneland starts up, because Keeneland is one of those tracks that like Matt was kind of hitting on. I'm on the West Coast. You know, Matt, you're more East Coast. Barry, you're, you know, down there on the East Coast, but you're more, you know, Florida.
New York South.
New York South, Sunshine State. We're all over the place, but we all come together to want to play Keeneland, right? I think that's how it is as a horse racing community. That's one of those tracks that everybody's looking at, right? Doesn't matter if you're a West Coast player, an East Coast player, if you focus more in Florida, wherever you play, you're always going to be looking at Keeneland right there. Barry, the sniper, that's the Keeneland man. I'm rocking my stable duel. So we got Keeneland stable duel games starting in just about 45 minutes. It's a massive weekend. Matt DeSantis is going to join me later on tonight. We're going to have a Friday night live stream at 8 o'clock. I think our buddy Caleb is also going to join us from On the Wrong Lead. And that stream is going to be basically just setting you up for Saturday. We're going to talk some Aqueduct stakes races. We're going to talk some Santa Anita stakes races for Saturday. We're going to talk some Keeneland stakes races for Saturday. And we're going to look at the start of those mandatory payout pools for Sam Houston. So if you want to follow along with us, we'll be looking at the big races from all of those tonight, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. We'll have some fun. Barry, my man, thank you so much, buddy. You have a fantastic weekend.
Yes,
Good
sir.
luck to you in all your wagers. Matt, like we said, it's opening week of baseball, so we got to pull a doubleheader today. It only makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's get two.
Let's play two. Ernie Banks.
Barry, we're going to talk a lot this year. I like your Marlins. I do. I think they got a good pitching staff. They're sneaky under the radar, so I'm going to be playing the Marlins
Okay.
and talking them a
Let's
lot
do that.
in some of their games and game week in, week out. Baseball season starts, but it's a great horse racing weekend this weekend. Preps all over. Stable Duel. Get your entries in and play, race, win. We'll be back here with you next Friday morning, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. Right now, Joey Cleveland, buddy, take it away.
Better. You want to spread your pony knowledge wide. Oh, better. I got a place where winning ain't tough to do. You want to be cool. Stable Duel. Your horse racing fantasy comes true.